This is KSL News Radio,
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Lawmakers are advancing a bill that would give the governor control over who serves as Chief Justice of Utah's Supreme Court. Currently, Utah's Chief Justice is chosen by the other Supreme Court justices. Bill sponsor Representative Chris Wilson says doing this.
We establish a deliberative process that enhances transparency in our state while preserving the system of checks and balances.
The bill has received a lot of pushback, including from the Utah State Bar. 12 senators, including 6 Republicans, voted against it, but it still managed to pass through the Senate by a slight majority vote. It's now headed to the House. Utahns may be able to help pay for diapers for families in need. A new bill is looking at creating a diapering supplies fund. Taxpayers would be able to donate to the fund through their state income tax returns. The money would go to nonprofits around the state, including the Utah Diaper Bank. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Protests continue over Elon Musk and the federal layoffs by the Department of Government Efficiency.
ABC News has learned of concerns within the intelligence community that foreign adversaries, including Russia and China, could target thousands of federal workers for recruitment. Meanwhile, crowds protesting Musk targeted his Tesla dealerships this weekend. And in Kansas, a Republican senator ended his town hall early as constituents demanded answers about job cuts affecting veterans. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down a bit, 39 points to 43,801. Coming up, it's cloudy out there. The weather's kind of warm. Traffic's pretty good. Traffic and weather together next. KSL News Time 9:02.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
At Intermountain Children's Health, we've created a bold plan called Primary Promise to build the nation's model health system for children. Help us achieve this once-in-a-generation vision so together we can bring the world-class care of Primary Children's Hospital closer to home for every child in our communities. For more than a century, Primary Children's has kept the child first and always. Join us for the next 100 years. To learn more, visit primarypromise.org.
Hey, this is Dan, the laptop man from PC Laptops. Imagine struggling with a slow, outdated computer that takes forever to load anything, that randomly freezes up and is filled with viruses and malware.
Now picture yourself with a powerful desktop or laptop that runs smoothly and efficiently, making your work and entertainment seamless. Take one home today. The new 2025 S1 desktop or SM3 laptop for only $999. You heard that right, $999. You get a blazing fast processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing storage for $999. What else you get? Lifetime service warranty, and we have 12 months special financing on approved credit. Hurry in right now because supplies are limited, because at PC Laptops, we love you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. $999, PCLaptops.com.
I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. For over 3 decades, Cordell & Cordell has been on the front lines of family law. Divorce is more than just a legal process. It's a life-changing event that can impact your future, finances, and your relationship with your children. You've worked hard to build a life that you're proud of. And you deserve a legal partner who will work just as hard to protect it.
Offices in Midvale and Clearfield. 1412 South Legend Hills Drive, Suite 200, Clearfield, Utah, 84015. Online at CordellCordell.com.
As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs.
Picking up! Oscar!
For 70 years, we've been known as the Humane Society of the United States. But as the challenges animals face have grown, so have we. We are now called Humane World for Animals. And with you on our side, we are going to end animal cruelty around the globe. Humane World for Animals, the end of animal cruelty.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Let's check in with Heather Kelly.
Well, the roads are dry in the Salt Lake Valley as well as in Utah, Davis, Weber counties. But if you're heading to the Wasatch back, we've got snow falling, creating for some slushy, wet roads, especially in Heber City, down by Deer Creek Reservoir and Strawberry Reservoir, as well as through portions of Spanish Fort Canyon, especially if you're heading out toward Tucker. Put your energy into the fight song, not fighting for parking. You win when you take UTA to the game. Plan your trip at rideuta.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather now. We'll see some rain and snow today that'll continue into the evening, but it most likely won't accumulate. Highs will be in the upper 40s. Right now, it's mostly cloudy and 41 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Eye on the Hill 2025. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
As we wind down in this last week of the legislative session, Dave, you know there's going to be a lot of proposals that are starting to wind up, and this is one of them. We're going to talk about it today, and I always look forward to talking with our listeners about it as well. So we're going to take live phone calls on this in just a few minutes, but let's get into it right now. Half-day kindergarten to full-day kindergarten. Now, lawmakers considering a proposal to require a half-day kindergarten class be offered in schools. Half-day, full-day, half-day. The pendulum just seems like it keeps on swinging.
It's kind of hilarious because full-day kindergarten is still brand new. This only happened a couple of years ago, but now we're fighting for half-day to go back and offer kids half-day kindergarten classes. And school districts right now, they're struggling to try to find this balance between kids and parents that want to go half-day and then to have the full-day kids as well, and they are juggling.
I thought you'd be elated because you've always said, let kids be kids. Half-day's good because kids can be kids. So what's your take on this?
I love half-day kindergarten in general. I think that very thing. Kids, these are 5-year-old kids. Many of them, or some of them, are still not potty trained. In fact, there's recent legislation that requires parents, when you're sending your kids to kindergarten, they got to be potty trained. And if they're not, you got to take them out of school and they got to work with a social worker. I mean, we forget how young these kids are in kindergarten and what we're asking them to do. So to say, hey, 5-year-old that is recently potty trained, or maybe, still struggling with some of those things, we're going to put you in school for 7 hours. Good luck.
Yeah,
that's a big ask for the kids, and it's a big ask for the teachers as well.
Well, as a mom who had a career, I would have loved having the option of full day kindergarten for my kids. They were half day, and then we put them into an extended day program at the school, and we did a lot of I called it flying an airplane, so to speak, where we were having to pick kids up and drop them off and just make sure everything was perfectly timed. It was stressful. A full-day option would have been awesome for our family. We just didn't have it back then. I mean, it's been 20 years since my kids left kindergarten. So now we have, right now in Utah, we have a full-day kindergarten option for parents. But I thought we still had this half-day option, but this legislation, it sounds like, would make it a requirement that schools offer a half-day kindergarten class specifically for half day. Let's get with Holly Richardson with Utah Policy. She's the editor of Utah Policy and has also been so gracious to help us track legislation on the Hill. Good morning, Holly.
Good morning.
This seems like it just came out, this legislation.
It did. So this bill was just uncovered or released, I guess, to the public on Friday. And so we're down to the last 5 days of the legislative session. And so this bill is coming out really, really late in the session. But you are correct that it would change the half-day kindergarten as an option if parents request it to every school will now offer it. Although there is a carve-out if there's not enough kids in a classroom, they can do away with half day and just go to full day.
So do we know what that number is? Like how many kids have to request this?
Yeah, it has to be 18, and that's pretty much a full-size kindergarten class, right? So it may be just a couple under, depending on the school district. But if there were fewer than 18 students that enroll in half-day kindergarten, then they will put those students into full day. But you've already mentioned some of the issues, and I think one of the other issues, too, is there's just not room for more classes. And so we know that there's really, really high demand for full day kindergarten, but it's not 100%. It's running around 77, 80%. But down in Utah County, where I live, the school districts down here only have about 45% of the kids in full day because there's just not enough room. Like there's not enough physical classroom space to have full day.
Okay. Holly, as you probably heard, we're going to take live calls from our listeners, and I'm going to call for those right now so we can get those phone calls teed up, because anytime we talk about full day versus half day versus full day, the phone lines light up. Everybody wants to talk about this when it comes to, half day or full day for kindergartners. 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. Where do you fall on this? Do you fall in the full day camp like I do? Or do you fall in the Let Kids Be Kids camp like Dave is, leaning into the half-day option? 801-575-TALK. Let's get the phone lines ringing on this Monday morning. Holly, okay, let's just take a step back and kind of walk through this right now. We have full-day kindergarten. That seems like it was kind of a long time in coming, at least from a mandate from Capitol Hill. So now school districts offer a full-day option. But I would imagine that some of the kids that are parents who are opting their child into the half-day option right now might find their child enrolled in a full-day class, but they're just pulling them out half-day. Am I correct in that in my understanding of that?
I don't know, to be honest. I haven't seen data on whether parents are pulling their kids out at the halfway point or if they're actually just keeping them in half-day kindergarten. One of the things I think is interesting about this bill, and I think one of the things that we see in lots of arenas, is it's easier to get quote-unquote compliance if you have to opt out. So if they're waiting for parents to ask for half-day kindergarten, I'm wondering if the thinking behind this is we're just going to make it so that option is there, and then if they don't want it, they'll just register their child for full-day kindergarten, right? It's easier that way. But I don't know, right? I think it makes it problematic if you start to pull kids out at the halfway point because they're going to be behind their peers because they're only going to be getting half the amount of education that the rest of the kids in the classroom are getting.
One of the tricky things about kindergarten in general, Holly, as I'm looking at the Utah State Board of Education website, kindergarten is optional. This is not required. It has become very common and standard. I guess when we think about educating our kids, we always talk about K through 12, but technically this is one of those that is not required in Utah.
Yeah, you're correct. And some parents do choose to keep their kids out that extra year to let kids be kids, as you said, Dave, and then put them into school in first grade. And sometimes they're on par with their peers who have done kindergarten in the public school system, and sometimes they're not. So that's just, that's one of the issues that teachers face in our classrooms today.
Holly, before we let you go, and we know this is going to be a really busy week on Utah's Capitol Hill because the session ends on Friday, very late on Friday. What is the chance that this has, given the fact that it was just unveiled this past Friday? And also, is there any cost right now in terms of a fiscal note to taxpayers that you're aware of?
First of all, I would say the chances are pretty slim. They would have to have a committee hearing for this bill. So far, it hasn't been assigned to a committee. So it seems unlikely that it will pass. And so it may just be a conversation starter for the interim. And I don't see any fiscal note attached to this bill at this point.
Okay.
Holly Richardson, thank you so much for joining us, editor of Utah Policy.
Boy, the phone lines are lighting up already. 801-575-TALK. Are you in the Let Kids Be Kids camp with the half-day kindergarten fans like Dave, or are you like me? Full day would have been a great option for our family. 801-575-TALK. Dave, I think we've got calls already. You want to start bringing our listeners on?
Let's jump out to Camille in Lehigh. What do you think, Camille? Have you had some experience with this?
Hi there. Excuse me. Yes, I have. So my daughter is currently in full-day kindergarten. And initially when all this was going down before last year, my school didn't offer full-day kindergarten. And I was really, really team half-day. And I still am. I still prefer half-day. I have the luxury of having a really flexible work schedule, and I like having my kids home with me and being able to do those extracurricular activities. But my daughter really felt like she was missing out on things. She would come home and be upset because the teachers and students were really broadcasting what was being missed after lunch. And I know in my school, there's about 75 kindergartners, and there was a survey that went out last year, and only about 9 parents wanted half day. And so what they did was they offered, the half day option where you can check your kid out at half day and then transition them to full day if you'd like. And that's what I did. And it's been fine. It's been a lot better than I thought it would be. And I, frankly, even though I am team half day, I don't think it's fair to have these schools have a full half day class when I am in the vast minority. That's what shocked me the most, was the fact that 9 out of these 75 kids, their parents chose to do half day. So after I saw that and realized I'm in the vast minority where I live in my area, I really don't think it's fair that a full-time half day class is required if that's not what everyone wants.
Camille, thank you for the phone call. And this legislation would say you would have to hit a threshold. You'd need at least 18 kids that wanted to be half day to justify having a full-time teacher, or at least a half-day class offered at the school.
So I just want to mention, Camille, that as you were talking, I was really impressed with how you thought through this and your experience, and that you actually kind of just went down the road of having this experience and realizing, it's really unfair for the schools to try to cobble together some sort of a class for the few parents who wanted to opt into the half day. So often when we're talking about issues that we're so passionate about, we can just get really fired up and dig our heels in. But I really did appreciate that. And just as mom to mom, thank you so much for that, because I think probably the opposite could have been true of me, where I was really hoping for a full day kindergarten option, but we could have sat down at a kitchen table and you could have explained to me why the half day would have been a better option for my kids. So awesome. Great take.
One of the struggles that half-day, full-day schools have, my wife works with kindergartners every single day. She works in an elementary school. So some schools have a class that is dedicated. They have a half-day class, and then they have 2 full-day classes. So they have 3 total kindergarten classes. And when it's separated and you have a half-day class, then it's much easier for the teacher, because when you have a full-day class and then you are checking, as Camille was describing this, and you're checking your kid out at lunch, then there really is a problem. The kids do feel like they're missing out. Teachers also have a struggle because they might teach reading in the morning and math in the afternoon. Well, if you've got some half-day kids that are checking out, you've got to completely and totally change your curriculum so that these kids aren't missing out on math. So it's very difficult for the teachers to have to try to balance the half-day kids and the full-day kids all in the same classroom. But when you have it separated and you have a half-day class, then the curriculum and how you're running it is so much smoother than if you're trying to do both.
Are you in camp full day or camp half day kindergarten? 801-575-TALK. Paige, you live in Ogden. You don't think full day is a great option for all the kids, huh?
I don't. I really want to be a voice and advocate for all those kids with disabilities. I mean, are we considering, my son has autism. He's about to start kindergarten in the fall, and full day just isn't something that is developmentally appropriate for him, yet we would be forced to put him in full day. He also does his ABA therapy, speech therapy, social skills groups, and that's asking another 20 hours for him outside of kindergarten that he would need. So I just really want to see that option on the table and realize that not all kids can succeed in a full day option.
Can you opt in, Paige? I'm curious, in your area, can you opt in to a half-day option for your son?
We can't currently. It's exactly
Okay.
what you're saying. Both schools I've looked into said they need a minimum of 18 kids to give him that option.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your phone call and sharing what you're going through with that, because it does create a different scenario than what other parents are probably experiencing. I did look up some data on full day versus half day, because I think so often we want to say, oh, these kids are going to fall behind if they're not enrolled in full day, and is it fair to the half-dayers? This is from the University of Utah's Utah Education Policy Center, and I pulled that this morning just before I headed into the studio, and I was looking at this report, Dave, and it's several pages long. Very, very fine print. So let me highlight what stood out to me. They looked at different studies about full day versus half day. And by the end of the school year, by the end of the kindergarten year, full-day kindergarten students did outperform half-day kindergartners by approximately 12 percentage points, right?
Which makes total sense.
Yeah, but here's the good news for those who are fearful that kids, half-day kindergartners are going to be left in the dust for the rest of their school careers. Not so. It seems like the advantages of full-day kindergarten stuck around through the beginning of first grade. And then by the end of first grade and throughout second grade, full-day kindergartners scored very similar to half-day kindergarten students.
So it sounds
they catch up
very much to me that this argument is trying to have it both ways. That by offering full-day kindergarten, we say, hey, look how incredible the gains are. They're far more prepared. But then by first grade, the beginning of first grade, it all kind of equals out with the half-dayers. So the gains aren't lasting. It doesn't carry through. So it's either or, right? I mean, you can't have it both being, hey, we got to have full-time kindergarten because it gives these kids a great launching pad into their school career, and then the half-day kids are falling behind. Or the half-day kids are performing just as well by the middle of the first grade, and then you've got the first grade teachers that are trying to catch up the kids that are behind. I mean, the problem I have with this is when you choose one or the other, if you go all half day or you go all full day, I see benefits in both. I truly do. When you try to have it both ways, then you're just creating headaches for the schools, creating headaches for the teachers and the parents. Listen, we've had half day kindergarten. This has been the standard. It wasn't until 2 years ago that we started having full day kindergarten. We just need to commit, I think, to one or the other. And when you say that the kids don't get left behind, it also tells me that the full-day kindergarten kids aren't getting these huge benefits that have been proclaimed if they're equaling out in first grade.
Hi, Carson. You live in Cedar Hills. Your child is your child enrolled in half-day or full-day?
So in our school, they only have a full-day option. Then you can choose to check your child out. And similar to someone else who called, I was kind of shocked because I was petitioning for half day. I felt strongly about that, but we couldn't get near enough people. So and then they're advertising it to us like, okay, we're going to do like your normal kindergarten stuff in the morning, and then we'll have art class and PE and music and our class parties in the afternoon.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Right. And
all
so
the fun stuff.
I felt very like, well, I don't want my child to miss out. He'll be so sad. So we started doing full day for a while, and he just ended up having so many behavior problems. He started not wanting to go to school. Like for him, I was worried about him missing out on those things. But when I started checking him out a couple of days a week, he all of a sudden was so much better. He did better on his math and reading. He did better in every aspect of behavior, and he didn't even care that he was missing art or music. So for us, I became less scared of just checking him out. I feel confident with my toddler that goes next. I'll probably just start with checking them out and not worry about it.
Yeah, well, we know our kids, right? I mean, we know our kids, and we are able to figure out what works for them and what doesn't, even if it means we kind of shift course midway through.
I will say the downside, as you were describing that, Carson, is when you put all the tough rigorous stuff at the beginning and all the fun stuff in the afternoon, then you're depriving the kindergarten of some of the fun social things when you have to divide it up into the busy part of the school day, and then the fun part of the school day. Again, this is the struggle when you have this mixed policy of some half-dayers and some full-dayers.
Straight ahead, which flags will and which ones won't be allowed to be flown? Representative Trevor Lee on his pitch to manage flag flying in Utah's public schools. He's on the line next.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and it's time once again for our free furnace sale, where you buy a new air conditioner and we give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it. About $400. The furnace is free. You just pay the labor. And here's the best part. There's up to $5,600 in rebates and tax incentives available right now that can help you stack even more savings on top of this already amazing deal. So if you've been thinking about replacing your old furnace and air conditioner, don't miss this opportunity to offset the cost by using someone else's money. To learn more, all you have to do is contact Any Hour Services and schedule a free estimate. One of our HVAC supervisors will come to your home, show you exactly how much you can save with our free furnace sale, and walk you through how to collect every dollar of rebate incentives your new system qualifies for. We even have a rebate support specialist to help you if you have questions. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7400. Google Any Hour Services or schedule a free estimate online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Got an app idea? You're sitting on a gold mine, but stuck on how to bring it to life? Meet Dev Simplify, your superheroes for web and mobile app creation. Dev Simplify. DevSimplify.com. Just ask Coach Mike with Practice Planner Live.
You know, as a coach, technology isn't my strength, but Dev Simplify took my idea for Practice Planner Live and turned it into the top practice planning platform on the market. They transformed my non-technical vision into an incredible web and mobile app that coaches like me now can't live without.
See, you don't need to be a tech wizard. Your idea plus Dev Simplify's superhero software skills equals a big win, right, Mike?
You know, I had big plans for my app, and with Dev Simplify's help, it's now a thriving must-have platform for all coaches.
Dev Simplify, turning your brilliant ideas into amazing web and mobile. No tech skills required. Visit DevSimplify.com and let the magic begin. DevSimplify.com. Life can feel hard or overwhelming sometimes, but you don't have to face things alone. Getting help for yourself or someone you're worried about starts with a call or text to 988, where you always have someone to talk to, someone to help you, and somewhere safe to go. 988 Utah is here for anyone experiencing mental health challenges or emotional distress. 988 Utah can even help you navigate how to support your struggling loved ones. Whether you're struggling with anxiety, depression, or suicidal thoughts, trained professionals are ready to listen and provide free, confidential support 24/7. Utah, don't hesitate to call or text 988 for you or someone you care about. The caring staff at 988 Utah can connect you to the right resources. Learn more at 988.utah.gov.
When you want a brand new kitchen, there's nothing to it. There's a brand new way to do it. 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
Eileen talks about her experience with 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
A lot of gross kitchen in the beginning, cracked formica, bad floor, ripped linoleum, and I decided to heck with this. I want it done. And I found an ad from 3-Day Kitchen and Bath. I called him. Dave brought all of his stuff. We talked about what I wanted. I chose the materials. It was very easy. He came in. He did what he said. They did it in the time frame that they said, at the cost that they said. His crew was delightful. We came home. Everything had been cleaned up. I would say people are silly not to do 3-Day Kitchen and Bath. I just love it. It's just like I moved into a new home.
It's about time.
3 days or less
at 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
If you're struggling with your mortgage, there's a free government program that offers expert one-on-one advice about your mortgage options. Call 1-888-995-HOPE or visit makinghomeaffordable.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Treasury, HUD, and the Ad Council.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top local story this hour. Many states' education sectors are bracing for impact with the possibility of the U.S. Department of Education closing. President Trump has said he wants to move education back to the states. Ryan Bartlett with the Utah State Board of Education says they're closely monitoring developments, but they feel it's premature to start making plans. Instead, they're choosing to spend their energy on providing stability for Utah's students, teachers, and schools. A water safety bill is heading to the Utah State Senate after passing the House by just one vote.
The most important thing that this does is prevent drownings.
Representative Melissa Garf Ballard says her bill directs the state school board to make water safety and certification courses available as options for an elective credit.
The advantage of having the state school board set it up really puts the same standards from district to district.
She says if a district decides not to offer aquatic course, students would be permitted to sign up for those courses from other districts or online. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The next big step has been taken in the United States' request to return to the moon.
3, 2, 1.
Firefly Aerospace launched Blue Ghost Mission 1 January 15th, and even during its long trip to the moon, hosted a series of scientific experiments. Now on the lunar surface, says Firefly CEO Jason Kim,
you're going to see more because this is just the beginning.
The mission has a short lifespan. Lunar sunset will plunge Blue Ghost into darkness at a temperature of minus 250 degrees in about 2 weeks. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow down 108 points right now. It's 0.25% to 43,732. Coming up, we've got more water in the works today and through the rest of the week. KSL Weather's next. KSL News Time 9:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Hey, folks, I've been telling you for years about the Connecticut water softener that I've just loved in my house. Did you know that it is so designed so well that it uses 2/3 less salt than other water softeners? So it's saving your back. You don't have to load those 40-pound bags of salt on your shoulder and take them into your basement and load them in, because it's just so highly effective. You can use 1/3 of the salt of everybody else, so it's fantastically designed that way. Now, most softeners use a finicky, hard-to-adjust computer to kind of guesstimate how much soft water to produce, but with Connecticut water softeners, the way they're designed, it just produces soft water 24/7. You never run out, and it uses minimal salt. So go ahead, save that lower back. Make sure you're not sore carrying all those bags of salt. You don't need to carry down 3. You just need to carry 1. Make sure you reach out to Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer. Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake now, 801-576-8600. That's 801-576-8600. Or log on to softwaterutah.com. Make sure you tell them that Dave sent you.
Traffic and weather together now brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Here's Heather Kelly.
We've got a crash on Redwood Road in North Salt Lake. This is right near 500 North, and it looks like all southbound lanes were blocked for quite some time. They may have just reopened the right shoulder to head south Redwood Road. You do have one right lane open northbound on Redwood Road near 500 North. The good news is there's not a whole lot of traffic in that area to cause delays. You do have good speeds on I-15 throughout Utah, Salt Lake, and Davis counties with dry roads, but if you go to the Wasatch back, wet roads with snow falling. Use Superior Water and Air for all your HVAC and water treatment needs. Call 974-9090 or visit superiorwaterandair.com. Superior Water and Air, we got this. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather now. Some of that rain and snow Heather was talking about on the Wasatch back will continue into the evening, and it most likely won't accumulate. Highs today in the upper 40s. Right now, it's mostly cloudy and 42 degrees in Salt Lake City and Provo, 43 degrees in Ogden. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Eye on the Hill 2025 special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Well, it's the final week of the Utah legislative session, at least the general session. And in just a few minutes, we're going to speak with Representative Trevor Lee about his pitch to manage flag flying in Utah's public schools. So we're going to ask him which ones he would want to see flown and which ones he would not want to see flown if his legislation makes it through to the governor's desk.
Flags are so interesting because obviously when you think of the flag, I think of the American flag, which is the great unifying symbol of our nation. We raise the flag at the Olympics. When it enters a room, we put our hand over our heart, we salute, we stand, we pledge allegiance to it. But flags can also be, and listen, the American flag has had plenty of protests on its own. People have burned the American flag. Olympians have protested it as they're winning the Olympic gold. But flags can also be divisive. It can be what some people will see as a great unifier. Others will see it as very divisionary.
Yeah. Good morning, Representative.
How are you guys doing this morning?
Good. Boy, you guys are winding down up on the Hill this week. I know you got a lot on your plates up there, so thanks so much for jumping on the line with us. So walk us through what House Bill 77 would do if it ends up with the governor's signature, or ends up getting past both the House and the Senate.
Yeah, no, great question. And it has passed the House completely. It's passed the Senate committee, so we just have the Senate floor, and then we go to the governor's desk. But what essentially it would do is make flags politically neutral within classrooms and on city, county, and state property across the state of Utah. And that's like just the base.
How are you able to make flags politically neutral? What's the I guess, and that's the goal. How do you make it happen?
Well, instead of just saying this is what's banned, we have decided to say here's what's approved. And what we've done is very narrowly tailor what we are going to allow in classrooms, on city buildings, counties, state buildings, et cetera, which is American flags, the state of Utah flags. That means the original historic flag, the new state flag, POW flags. Other countries' flags are okay, especially if you have other foreign entities that are coming into town, maybe on diplomatic missions. We've got the Olympic flag is approved on there. And so it really is very, very narrow what we're saying. Hey, here's what you can use as an approved flag to fly either within a classroom or city, county, or state building.
I had heard that you were working on this when it came to public schools. I guess the new twist for me, and maybe it's an older twist for everybody else, they've heard it before. I didn't know that you were working on this as well for government property, like city and county buildings. Have you had any pushback from city or county leaders on this, or is everybody pretty much in lockstep with this?
It's interesting you say that. So there's two things that this does. Number one is it's going to put us in line with what we're seeing from the Trump administration. So federal buildings are only allowed to fly American flags now. That's across the world. They're making sure that is a policy that they have. So this would put us in line on state building, county, and city buildings. And the only entity that we have seen that has pushed back has been Salt Lake City, just because they really badly want to fly the pride flag the entire month of June. Other than that, no pushback on that.
So what would happen if, for example, in the example you gave, if Salt Lake did fly the pride flag during that month?
Yeah, so they could be prosecuted, fined. We're looking at $500 a day. You could also have, if there's a parent of a child, they could also sue if they see something that's not politically neutral, that's not allowed to fly. So there's a couple different avenues that someone could go, a taxpayer, anyone who feels that they are breaking the law of Utah if this ends up happening.
We're speaking live right now with Representative Trevor Lee about his legislation that would I guess, narrow the number of flags. That's probably the best way to put it. That could be flown on government properties, whether the city or county building, or in schools, to like the United States flag, the Utah state flag, municipal flags would be approved, military flag, tribal flags. Olympic flag is another one. So this isn't the first time you've tried this legislation before. So I believe you tried it. Was it last year as well, Representative?
Not me, no. But
Okay.
it was former Representative Stenquist who tried it. And I believe he wasn't narrow enough for what he was doing on the bill. So that didn't pass the House. And then the election last year, we had a couple of senators who tried to throw it into a bill last second, so the Senate didn't vote for it. But I myself have not tried it. I decided to tackle this after those did not pass last year, and I had a good amount of constituents reach out and say, hey, like, I'm seeing a big problem with this in schools. And then I started to have some friends who work down in Salt Lake said, hey, I'm feeling uncomfortable with all these political flags being flown at where I work. And that gave me the idea to expand it from just schools to also any taxpayer-funded entity should remain politically neutral.
When we're looking at these flags that are allowed, it's hard not to look at the flags that are not included. And again, you're specifically speaking about the pride flag, but other flags as well. Would they be allowed in schools in a teaching environment? Would they be allowed to be used as props or be able to be hung in, say, history classes and used as teaching tools?
Yeah, so that's another really good question. One of the things that we wanted to make sure did not happen was censoring teachers' ability to go through and teach history. And if that means they are going to show a flag, and not display, but actually show a flag, we've actually really made sure the language is clear here now. Let's say they're teaching the Civil War history. They shouldn't be afraid to show the Confederacy or the Union flags. Either or is going to be fine to show the students in class. We want to make sure that if they're learning about World War II, the Axis and Allies, you could show both flags and not feel like they're going to tie a teacher's hands to censor. And a child should never understand what an evil representation from a country that was bad looked like. So we can make sure we learn history. So go like 2015, if we're going to learn about the Ogefeller decision, which was a big deal for our country. You could show a pride flag to kids if they want to see what that looks like and what symbol that represented that political movement. That is fine.
I'm just reading the Deseret News article on this, and they quoted the Equality Utah Policy Director Marina Lowe, and they also said others argued this bill would violate municipalities' First Amendment rights. What's your response to that concern?
Yeah, no, that was initially a very valid concern, what we had thought. But talking to our drafting attorneys, which actually one of the attorneys spoke in the Senate committee hearing on this, that we believe this does stand up to any constitutional challenges. And why that is because the entity itself needs to remain politically neutral. But if it's, let's say, an employee, which is not K through 12, let's say like a city employee, they're allowed to have that freedom of speech within their office or their personal space that they have. That's fine. Teachers, in the bill we put, if it's within their capacity as a teacher, so if it's in their scope of work, then they're not allowed to have anything that's considered political on the flag side if it's within their capacity as a teacher. So if they use their desk at school for teaching or for grading papers or within their scope of work, well, that would be considered a place they would not be able to fly a political flag. They would have to remain politically neutral. So it's different depending on K through 12 versus like a city or state employee, but both of them we do believe will stand up to any challenges that we may have with other organizations.
Representative Trevor Lee, thank you for joining us.
Well, if you were with us on Friday, you probably heard what we heard coming out of the White House when President Trump met with Ukrainian President Zelensky.
Gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III.
Our question next is, what does this new week hold? Can both sides get back together after that? We're going to have an expert on national security with what he sees ahead for the United States and Ukraine relations. Straight ahead.
Do you suffer from depression? The Department of Psychiatry at the University of Utah is currently seeking people between the ages of 18 and 65 who have depression to take part in a comprehensive treatment study. The goal of the study is to see if 2 naturally occurring supplements will improve depression in people living at higher altitudes. Participants will take the supplements for 8 weeks, and the study lasts 12 weeks in total. Participants must already be taking an SSRI or an SNRI medication for at least 8 weeks. Compensation will be provided to study participants. Again, if you are between the ages of 18 and 65 and suffer from depression that hasn't responded to usual antidepressants, the University of Utah is conducting a study that may help. For more information or to take part, please call 801-581-3475 or visit altitudedepressionstudy.com. That's 801-581-3475 or altitudedepressionstudy.com.
Stop paying 5-star pricing for 3-star service. It's time for a change. Welcome to Beehive Plumbing's Premier Experience. With our Beehive Premier Plan, you have access to our VIP phone number and website to ensure prompt and reliable plumbing service by an expert 5-star technician. Why Beehive? Our Premier package comes with an industry-leading warranty, giving you up to 10 years of coverage on both parts and labor. Yeah, that's right, 10-year warranty. Call Beehive Plumbing today or visit beehivepremier.com for expert experience every time.
Everything's a little better when it's super. Heroes, markets, sized, and of course, checks. A super check gives you an in-depth review of your current insurance coverage with a Farm Bureau Financial Services agent, no matter who your insurance provider is. That's super cool. Talk to a Farm Bureau agent to make sure you're properly covered at fbfs.com/protect. It's your future. Let's protect it. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company.
Dave, and Dujanovic.
I have not been able to unhear this meeting at the White House from last Friday.
You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now.
And I just could not help but when I woke up this morning think, what does this new week hold after Friday?
You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. But right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
On Friday.
This was incredible, Debbie. This was happening in the middle of our show. We had cut to it live. This was breaking news at the time. And watching this unfold, I had never seen anything like it. Not in the history of covering news have I ever seen 2 leaders of countries going at it, shouting at each other. That is the diplomatic equivalent of shouting at each other and interrupting each other, trying to make their points. And it was devastating for relationships between the United States and Ukraine. And what we saw next, right after that interaction, President Trump basically kicks President Zelensky out, cancels their lunch, their working meeting, kicks him out of the White House. And then what was interesting is you saw European leaders, rally around Volodymyr Zelensky. You have leaders, Germany, France, Spain, Poland, the Netherlands, all posting social media, putting in social media posts, rallying around him, saying that we're here for you, we're standing beside you. It's been a very, very interesting weekend.
Every time it came up on any of my feeds this weekend.
Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Vice President J.D. Vance.
You think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you can...
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country is in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a minute. No. You've done a lot of talking.
I just felt
your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning.
Uncomfortable. Uncomfortable. Also, like I said, as a new week dawned, I was like, now I'm worried. So let's get Ryan Vogel, director of the Center of National Security Studies at Utah Valley University, on the line. I don't know if these two. I guess where I'm worried, Ryan, is I don't know if these two can come back together again and be in the same room. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it is very difficult. And like you, I think everyone around the world was watching that and sort of aghast at what was happening. I think that what you've seen after this is that Zelensky has wisely been trying to shore up support everywhere else he has it. All across Europe, he's been making these quick trips. He made kind of the media circuit in the United States, visited with other leaders here in the U.S., and I think he's doing what he can to try to suggest that he wants to move forward. Zelensky also said that he had agreed to that minerals deal that the Trump administration put forward. On the U.S. administration side, I think at some point that we have to get past the emotion part of this and just start to think through what is in the best interest of the United States. And I think, based on where we've been before, that is to continue to support Ukraine in order to deter Russian and even, those that would learn from it, like China, from future aggression, and to continue the transatlantic security relationship that has led to, this unprecedented peace among world powers for the past 70 years. So I'm hoping that what we'll hear from the administration and other U.S. leaders this week is that, let's get back to the table. Let's talk about this. Let's move forward.
If I'm President Zelensky, I would imagine the one thing that would give me hope is when you're dealing with President Trump, he can be very transactional in his relationships with folks. Is there a way to make this a transaction versus some sort of a blood feud or just a grudge match between them?
I think so. But what I hope we don't get into is sort of a demand for apologies and things like that. I mean, Zelensky is also battling an internal and, foreign audience that requires him to appear to be tough. And I would hope that the U.S. would not try to, diminish him in that way. But I do think even privately, maybe he needs to come back and appeal to the Trump administration in that way. And then, like you said, make this transactional. The United States wants to benefit from their support, wants to get something back. Well, here's a deal, right, that we can agree to. And maybe even take some things off the table that have been more thorny that Zelensky has suggested in the last week, like, a path to NATO membership or something like that really has been a non-starter for the Trump administration.
I would hope that both sides could get back to the table on this. But the minerals deal, I think that, for these critical minerals, oil and gas, according to what I'm reading on Reuters, ultimately, it does not come with any sort of guarantee in terms of the Russia invasion of Ukraine and what could happen next. If my read on this is right for Ukraine, if they do come to the table and make some sort of deal, and I think just my takeaway in watching this the other day and then reading up on it more this weekend, it seems like, Zelensky, there's a lot at stake here. He needs some sort of guarantee that Russia is just not going to reinvade and reinvade.
And that's exactly what his point was. I think his frustration, which I think, got the best of him in that meeting, but his frustration is that a deal without any guarantees is no good for Ukraine. Ukraine is, in a terrible position with Russia. Russia is not an honest broker. They're not going to follow through with their agreements unless they're held to it. So really, the United States is essential here. And the Trump administration wants this to be mostly Europe's problem, right? They've said this over and over that they want Europe to take the lead on this, that they're willing to support in order to gain access to these resources. But ultimately, what Ukraine is demanding or really wanting out of any deal is that guarantee that the United States and their partners will be there for them when Russia violates any kind of agreement they come to.
In the final minute that we have, I will say this is shocking to us.
You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position.
When we listen to two leaders speaking over each other, essentially shouting over each other, this is shocking to us because we never see it. But I'm sure behind closed doors, these conversations, this kind of interaction is extremely common. It just doesn't play out in front of microphones, I would imagine.
No, you're exactly right. And even in my experience doing diplomatic work for the U.S. government, I saw these very tense kind of situations all the time. It's just that when you have an Oval Office meeting, this is a tightly scripted event usually. So this was unusual. And I think what happened is, there were a few, everything had gone smoothly to that point. And then there were a few kind of grenades thrown in the punch bowl, so to speak, and it sort of derailed things. And it's a tough situation. But yes, these kinds of things happen. That's why I think, there is a path to overcome this. I just hope to see that sooner rather than later so we can get back on track here.
Ryan Vogel, thank you so much for joining us. We always appreciate Utah Valley University and their work they do with their National Security Studies program. Ryan Vogel's the director there. So thank you, Ryan.
At KSL News Radio, we have a 30-year legacy of honoring Utah teachers, but we can't do it without your help. Please tell us about an important teacher in your life on a KSL Teacher Tribute Wall presented by Cypress Credit Union. Each month, one lucky teacher wins a $500 gift card from Cypress Credit Union, a $250 gift card to Harmon's, plus season tickets to Hale Center Theater. Say thanks to your teacher today at kslnewsradio.com/teacher from Cypress Credit Union and KSL News Radio.
You're buying a home. Who do you choose to do the mortgage? Call Rick Kirschenbaum at Loans by Rick and let Rick show you how to get an interest rate that's 1 to 2 points lower than the current rate. Call 801-809-SAVE. Rick has 23 years of experience, and he's done thousands of mortgage loans. Call Loans by Rick, 801-809-SAVE, or click loansbyrick.com. Rick Kirschenbaum, NMLS 241179, and Vintage Lending, NMLS 287106, are equal housing lenders. Some restrictions apply. Rate discounts are temporary buy-downs. House hunting? Refinancing? Tired of confusing rates and endless paperwork? Loans by Rick makes mortgages easy. Rick will compare hundreds of lenders to find you your best rate so you save time and money. Low rates? Check. Fast approvals? Check. No hidden fees? Check. You got it. Click loansbyrick.com or call Loans by Rick today at 801-809-SAVE. That's 801-809-SAVE. Rick Kirschenbaum, NMLS 241179, and Vintage Lending, NMLS 287106, are equal housing lenders. Some restrictions apply.
At Golden Rule Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, our golden opportunity is back. The free furnace promotion is here and just in time for tax return season, and this time it's even better. Our free furnace promotion on any complete system replacement now includes no payments for 1 year. Free furnace, no payments. Now that's the golden rule. Visit goldenrulephc.com today.
We obey the rules to live by. Golden Rule Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling.
See the high-flying dunks, show-stopping blocks, and crowd-silencing threes at Delta Center this season. With an action-packed schedule, it's easy to get to a Jazz game. Pick out an unmissable matchup or just a tip-off time that works for you. It's time to put on your Jazz gear and head to the game. Come with a friend, a loved one, or as a group. See all available tickets and options at utahjazz.com or call or text 801-355-DUNK.
You ever notice when someone takes a sip out of a water bottle and they find it to be really good? They always seem to look at the label. Folks just can't help themselves when they take a sip out of a little spring water bottle. Well, there's a reason it's called nature in a bottle. No chemicals, no additives. It's just pure, clean, healthy water from a family-owned and operated bottled water company. And that little spring is nestled in a beautiful canyon in Bear Lake, Utah. Now, just imagine the reaction from your customers if that bottle of pure goodness wore your logo, designed just right to make your name stand proud. In the advertising world, they call those unique impressions. Of course, when you drink Little Spring Water, you'll just call it impressive. Let Little Spring Water help hand your customers something they will remember. Just visit littlespringwater.com to get a quote. It's actually quite reasonable. littlespringwater.com.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with a Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com. And get ready for the workday.
Febreze. It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour, the Utah Senate has advanced a bill that would give them and the governor the power to appoint the Chief Justice of the Utah Supreme Court rather than having the justices make that choice. Bill sponsor Senate Majority Whip Chris Wilson says this.
We establish a deliberate process that enhances transparency in our state while preserving the system of checks and balances.
The bill has received a lot of pushback, including from the Utah State Bar. 12 senators, including 6 Republicans, voted against it, but it still managed to pass through the Senate by a slight majority vote. It's now headed to the House. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. 2 people have now been confirmed dead after a car drove into a crowd in Germany. ABC's Lama Hassan is trying to gather the latest in a chaotic scene.
Eyewitnesses saying a man driving a car plowed into a crowd of people with injuries being reported. Police responding to the incident saying a major operation is underway. No word yet on the motive.
We'll continue to follow this developing story. We have an update after a campus security alert was issued at the University of Utah over the weekend. Salt Lake City police say they now have a man in custody who was making threats and claiming to have guns. No weapon was found, but officers say the suspect's dog attempted to bite an officer. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down this morning 110 points at the moment to 43,730. Coming up, days of rain. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Are you in search of a fulfilling career where you can work on a team that provides you room to grow, learn, and thrive every day? Focus Engineering and Surveying is looking for individuals to join their team who take pride in the customer service they provide and have a passion for their clients to be successful. No experience in engineering, CAD design, or surveying? No problem. Focus will train those who fit their team culture for rewarding careers in surveying and CAD design. If you can align with the core ideology and the Focus team culture, if you're internally driven, team-oriented, client-focused, and love personal development and growth, Focus Engineering and Surveying is the place for you. Enjoy a positive work environment and paid internship opportunities, plus fantastic benefits like great health care with 80% employer-paid premium and HSA matched up to $200 per month, 401k, vacation, even annual performance bonuses. Start your journey towards your new and fulfilling career. Apply now at FocusUtah.com. That's FocusUtah.com.
Jackson Hewitt wants you to save money on tax prep. We're saving money by having our intern rap in this commercial.
Don't stress, Jackson Hewitt's got expert tax prep, $149 or less. Yo, some tax guys lie about price. They got hidden fees, that ain't nice. Ain't nice. Don't ignore MC Kevin's rhyme, cause this deal's for a limited time. $149.
For tax prep that's $149 or less, hurry into Jackson Hewitt today.
No cap.
Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. GI Bill, SkillBridge, and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
Any Hour Services can help unclog any drain in your house, whether you have a backup, a clog, or a slow drain you want fixed. Call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Let's check in with Heather Kelly.
Northbound I-15 right near 1600 North in Orem. Haven't seen it on camera, but there's also no delay in the area, so it's probably off on a shoulder or already been moved off the freeway. We're still dealing with a crash. It's in the final cleanup stages on Redwood Road in North Salt Lake, right at the 500 North intersection. You've got a left lane blocked, both northbound and southbound, but not a lot of traffic there. Then you've got snow falling in the Wasatch Back, creating some very wet roads, especially in Heber City. Utah Symphony performs the greatest classical hits from the 1700s to today at Abravanel Hall. Don't miss Mahler, Mozart, and more. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather now. It's rain mixed with snow later tonight, but mostly rain in the valleys. Then we get another storm moving in Wednesday night, and this one looks bigger. Today's high should be 48 degrees. Right now it's mostly cloudy and 45 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Eye on the Hill 2025. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Okay, before you judge a book by its cover, we're going to spend 20 minutes talking about loneliness, so you'll get more details as we talk through this. But let me just bounce this off you, Dave. How about the state-sponsored, if you will, or supported holiday to help people deal with loneliness? How does that hit you?
If I'm lonely, the last person I would look to is the government to get me out of my loneliness. If I'm in a funk, then I am not looking to my state, my city, my community to help me out of this.
Why not?
I don't know. Maybe because I've had some experiences where we had a block party. And these block parties were even funded, in part by sponsors, but even community dollars, like tax dollars for a community block party. And we showed up to our community block party, supposed to be like games and a DJ and food trucks and all these things. There were like 9 of us there.
Just 9.
It's an exaggeration, but probably not by much. It was not like a big old party that everyone, just couldn't wait to get to. So I just think there's better ways to attack loneliness. I question whether or not our government should be trying to organize the block parties, or does that need to happen on a neighborhood level? Does it need to happen on a much smaller level, community level, church, whatever it might be? It seems to me like that would be the better path forward.
When I look at the data regarding loneliness, and by the way, you can read all about this in the Deseret News. That's where I got this article, and then they're also quoting an Axios report. If it were happening on a smaller level, I don't think 40% of people in Utah would report that they're lonely. If it were actually happening, I just don't think that number would be 40%. If it were happening, I think that number, and people were feeling like they were part of the community, that number would be maybe more like 10 or 15%. So 40% is a sweeping number of Utahns it's 42% in Utah. It's 40% across the nation. So it's higher in Utah than it is around the rest of the nation, which was surprising to me.
Maybe I can clarify. I'm not doubting that people are lonely, and I'm not doubting that that is an epidemic, that we need to address this. What I'm questioning is the best way to do that. Because you're right. I think we are. I think we're failing as neighbors. I think we're failing as communities to reach outside of our phones and our immediate family and to become a community. And there's a great need, obviously. There's a great need when you look at these stats for companionship, for relationships, for connection, for family. And we are obviously we're failing in this way.
Yeah, because that number is staggering. In a moment, we're going to speak with Senator Brady Brammer, who has introduced legislation for what's called it's a resolution that would recognize loneliness as a critical public health priority, and then it would establish a community health day the last day of April, and it would be the last Saturday, of April. So it's not like a holiday in terms of, you get Wednesday in the middle of May off to go celebrate your unloneliness, in the middle of the town square, So I'm going to get to that in just a moment. When I ask you to draw up a demographic for me. Who do you think is most lonely? Like, what age generation do you think is most lonely? Just off the top of your head. I don't expect you to look.
Our elder generation.
Nope. No, guess again. Wrong.
That would have been my guess.
Yeah.
You know, folks that have maybe lost a spouse or something, kids have moved away.
It's not, Dave. It's shocking to me when I look at that it's the young adults. Harvard researchers found 61% of young adults report experiencing loneliness frequently or all the time. 61% of our younger generation, according to the Deseret News, say that they are experiencing loneliness frequently or all the time. Yes, older adults too, but 55 to 65, which is right, I'm smack dab in the middle of that. I'm going to be 58 in a few weeks, 58 years old in just a few weeks. So I'm 55 to 65-year-olds, it's 24%. So it's a huge number of young adults who are saying they're lonely, and it's actually our kids.
Yes.
You know, our kids' ages, right? And I didn't think of that. I thought, oh, for sure, it's got to be people older than me, right? No, it's not. Let's bring Senator Brammer into the conversation because we know it's the last week on the Hill, Senator, and you guys got lots on your plates up there. So thanks so much for joining us to walk us through how you want Utah to recognize and deal with our loneliness epidemic.
Yeah, it's a real thing. It's something that I think we started to really get the true flavor of during COVID, and we have this kind of faux connection electronically, but we're learning that we need real connections, in-person connections, and I'm hoping that this will help move the needle a little.
It's a conversation I think we're a little uncomfortable with because if we admit that we're lonely or that our neighbor is lonely, we don't want to do anything about it, like, because we do kind of have this responsibility to be there for each other, but at the same time, we also kind of want to live in our cocoon. And I just wonder if we've changed the way we're living right now, and is this just another reason to blame phones?
Well, yeah, I think we've really, it's not just blaming phones. I think, you know, now we order everything online, and we don't go out to the store. We don't talk to a store clerk. You know, everything shows up. You know, we have this little electronic cottage that everything gets delivered to, or that we never have to leave to do what we want to do in many circumstances. And so, you know, we really do need to have that personal connection. We have not, our technology has evolved faster than us. We're still communal beings. We have to connect individually.
Senator, walk us through what it is you would like to see done from a state level. I know you had a resolution that was introduced, but what does that look like for the average Utahn?
Yeah, you know, this is not something where we're trying to like mandate that people, get out with friends and things like that. But it is a specific day, which would be the last Saturday in April, for people to, where we're encouraging people to get out and connect socially with one another as a community health day. And we find that health outcomes are better, that people, loneliness can be as harmful as chain smoking, which is a crazy thing to think about. But, if we can get out and just have a planned day where people are encouraged to go out, we're not going to make anyone do anything. We're not going to take a holiday. It's just a day that we can recognize and try to do a little more in this space.
One of the things that I've noticed over the years, as we've lived here for a really long time, but since the invention of the internet, if you will, is I have a really difficult time trying to piece together like what events are going on across the state, and particularly maybe along the Wasatch Front if I don't want to travel too far south or north. And so what I'm pitching is a statewide community calendar that's one-stop shopping, because I do find myself down these weird rabbit holes of trying to figure out what events are free and how much something costs and do I need a ticket, and I'm going to all of these different websites, and it's great that cities are doing these events, but boy, it's really, I think we've overcomplicated it, and I wonder if other people feel that same way. What are you hearing from people in terms of why they're lonely? Is it because they can't find something to do?
I think sometimes we are lonely out of convenience. We can find the entertainment that we want. It's easy to go onto Netflix. It's easy to find something, something to entertain our minds. But we're not scratching that itch, and we don't realize that we have that itch for personal connection, and interaction until it's really hurting us. It's just not something that is top of mind, even though it really should be.
What do you make of this recent research from Harvard when we're talking about 61% of young adults that are experiencing loneliness either frequently or all the time? I was shocked that the young adults are the ones that are most affected by this.
Yeah, I think we're seeing there is an idea that through texting or through social media, you're getting connection. And I think what we're learning is that just is not an adequate substitute for person-to-person interaction. And so our young people are so adept at using, the electronic tools that we have, but they haven't learned. Well, I think some of them have, but there are quite a few that it's just so much easier to text than talk. But they need that talking. They need to get out and be with other kids, and it's a false sense of connection when it's electronic.
Senator Brammer, thank you so much for joining us. This is fascinating. This is interesting because I think at the very least, this forces us into a conversation, Debbie, to address loneliness. Because if we've got more than half of young kids that are frequently or lonely all the time, we have to address this. We've got to figure out as a community, how are we going to deal with this? And also as individuals, how are we going to get out of this loneliness out of convenience? I loved how Senator Brammer described that. Loneliness out of convenience.
I think we should take phone calls. 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. This doesn't sound like something they're mandating or anything like that. It's just a resolution to recognize that hey, loneliness is a real issue in Utah. It is across the United States. It's really gotten a lot worse since the pandemic. Too many of us are cocooning. And so what he's hoping to do is bring some recognition to this, the fact that young people and older Americans, older Utahns are experiencing loneliness. And they're telling people who conduct these surveys, I'm lonely. And I'm not only lonely sometimes, I'm frequently lonely. 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. Look, we're not therapists. We're not going to pretend to be. But give us like one thing that you're doing. And I have a huge list. Don't worry if you don't have all of the answers. I've got several of answers that I've come up with to keep yourself from being lonely. 801-575-TALK. Share it with us so we can spread the word to people who might be feeling lonely and don't want to call in.
I had kind of an interesting experience this weekend. You said you would love to see a community calendar that had a bunch of possibilities where you could go out and meet people. But my wife and I had this interesting experience. We went out to eat on Saturday night. It was about a 30-minute wait, so we were wandering around the businesses that were closed. We're just waiting for the text to arrive. So we find this game shop. Now, when I say game shop, I'm not talking about video games. This was an arcade. This was good old-fashioned board games, and they were selling all these board games. So we thought, hey, let's jump in there and look at it. Every Saturday night, they have tables that are set up for people just to come and play board games.
Oh, that's fun. That's awesome.
And then they have hundreds of board games that you can test out and try and play new ones. And then they have these crazy experts that know every rule to every game ever that can help you play these games.
That's super cool.
You can just show up and arrive and play some games. And I thought, I had no idea this existed. And the only reason we're in here is because I was waiting for some sushi to free up in 30 minutes.
I love this. We need to spread that joy.
Isn't that neat?
Across all of our communities.
But I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea that existed.
Yeah. You just stumbled into it.
Yeah.
801-575-TALK. What are you doing to keep yourself from being lonely? And what can you share with the rest of us who might go in and out of spurts of loneliness? Hi, Pam.
Hi.
What, you live in West Valley City, and it says here that there's lots of city committees. I'm going to assume you sit on some of those committees.
Yes, after I finished teaching and stayed home as a mom, I found myself needing community connection. So I got involved in a committee called the Clean and Beautiful Committee, which I drag my lovely children around to do service projects and stuff. But I found that, like, the connection was super important to get outside the home. And I know for a fact that there are committees in at least ours that has some openings. And I believe there probably are all over the state. Cities need volunteers, and it's a great way to get involved in your local community. I was also going to say it's helpful, get involved with, like, your local, whatever your belief is, a church.
Yeah.
There's lots of activities that happen with those, or your local, recreation center. Lots of activities through those. If you don't feel comfortable in a church, go get involved in a recreation center.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Pam. I love all of those suggestions, and the idea of sitting on a committee. I was thinking, it also holds you to, like, sometimes it can hold you to a deadline. Like, and then you know, anytime people are involved and they're counting on you, I think you tend to show up. You don't make excuses. Like for me, going to the gym, we can hold on that for another day. You know, even though I know I should go to the gym because nobody's expecting me there. But if I am expected at the gym or at a meeting, I'm going to be there. I want to also note one of the things that I do intentionally is now I'm at a different point in my life than I was like 10 years ago when I was raising 3 kids and working full time and all the things. I do not order my groceries online and have somebody throw them in the back of my trunk and then drive off. I intentionally go to the grocery store, push my cart up and down the aisles, try as often as I possibly can, you know, if there's a register open with a cashier there, to have that interaction. First of all, I prefer shopping that way, but I think it also forces me to get out and communicate, because I know when I go to my Zumba class, like on Saturday mornings, if I have not had a conversation with anybody and we start doing our little shouting and Zumba, I'm like, I have not exercised my lungs at all, and it's almost noon. You know, I haven't talked to a single soul on a Saturday morning, and I'm a pretty early riser, so I think it's sort of, I force myself. It's so easy to say, oh, I don't want to go to the gym tonight. I just don't feel like it. I don't want to, I force myself to go. It's not only a great health benefit for me, but it gives me an opportunity to interact with humans, and I love it.
I love how you described that, because when we had Senator Brady Brammer join us, he described it in a beautiful way. He said, we live in this electronic cottage that everything gets delivered to.
Yeah. We could be lonely out of convenience.
I think sometimes we are lonely out of convenience. We can find the entertainment that we want. It's easy to go onto Netflix. It's easy to find something, something to entertain our minds. But we're not scratching that itch, and we don't realize that we have that itch for personal connection, and interaction until.
Let's jump out to Ryan in Riverton. Ryan, what's your thoughts on this, of so many young people specifically talking about how they feel lonely all the time?
We actually deal with this quite a bit. We're in charge of something called the Gathering Place. It's held in Riverton and throughout the Salt Lake Valley, sponsored by the LDS Church, where 18 to 35-year-old young single adults can come and just gather. Every Thursday night we have a meal and some sort of activity, whether it's volleyball or video games or card games or many different activities every Thursday night.
Love it.
It's a great opportunity.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for calling and sharing that. That's awesome. I love it. And it sounds like a lot of fun too. And it's Thursday nights, and so yeah, people should check that out. Did you Google it, Dave?
Yeah, the Gathering Place. It looks like, is it at Gardner Village? Kind of looks like it's at Gardner Village, but the Gathering Place. That's interesting. Thank you for that phone call.
Who do we have? Eli in Kaysville. Oh, you're 22 years old. How do you keep from being lonely? Thank you for calling, by the way, and listening, Eli.
Yeah, no problem. I was just listening to the news, and
heard this. I am one of those shyer personalities. I love to stay in my house a lot of the time, but I've been feeling that loneliness and realizing I need to do something about it. And so I made friends with a lot of extroverts and kind of just seeing what their take is on life. And they've taken me to concerts, something I never would have spent my money on beforehand.
Wow, that's awesome.
And taking me to like different wards, different churches, and in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and even outside the church, it's been an interesting perspective. And so I've learned that I need to value this time of just exploring and finding different things to do and going outside of my comfort zone sometimes.
Eli, thank you so much for sharing that story. I think it was fascinating. The term lonely out of convenience. Sometimes we do. We find it more convenient to be lonely. And Eli, as you were describing that, of making friends with some extroverts that get you out of your comfort zone, it can be uncomfortable to do that. But when you go in there and realize, okay, this doesn't come naturally to me, but this is valuable to me, that's a fantastic perspective. Thank you so much for calling.
This is the story of the one. As a quality technician in a food processing center, she knows that making the right call is the best way to avoid a recall. That's why she trusts Grainger's world-class supply chain to deliver the high-quality supplies she needs to help keep her production line, her equipment, and her customers happy and healthy. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With a Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
As a business owner looking to take your business to the next level, it's all about the right marketing. But what exactly is right for you? At KSL News Radio, we are ready to help you craft the perfect comprehensive strategy. Whether it's our powerful talent endorsements, engaging live interviews, creative production, live events, or our extensive digital platforms, we've got you covered with the right solution. Contact Stephanie Palmer today, spalmer@ksl.com, and let's grow your business together. Email spalmer@ksl.com.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. Opening a My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal record and interactive tools tailored for you. You can see if you are eligible to receive benefits, view spousal benefit estimates, and compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates when you want to start receiving benefits. Already receiving benefits? Use your account to change your address, set up or change direct deposit, get a proof of income letter, and more. In most states, you can also request a replacement Social Security card. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
COVID-19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
Managing today's uncertainty can be overwhelming. We crave security, and it's uncomfortable when we sense a lack of control over our lives. Develop a routine for a more balanced lifestyle with healthy habits and fun. Focus on what you can control, even if it's little things, like a before-bedtime ritual.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
How does a soccer club, born in an unlikely place,
Utah? You sure you want to do that in Utah?
built with players no one else wanted,
We knew no one believed in us.
reach the league's highest heights?
We finally did it. It was like just this feeling of getting to the top of the mountain.
How does that same team find a way to shatter expectations in the midst of a fight for its own survival.
Our club is burning to the ground as we speak.
I'm Amy Donaldson, and in a new podcast, Making of a Moment, the RSL story, we take a closer look at one of those iconic sports moments.
Soccer is a crazy game, and we saw it firsthand tonight.
And unravel how knowing the truth of these moments can transform what they mean.
I just kind of got chills right now thinking about it.
Making of a Moment, the RSL story, is available now. Follow us at makingamomentpod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
When I have an asthma attack, I feel scared.
Prevent your child's next asthma attack. Call 1-866-NO-ATTACKS. Visit www.noattacks.org or call your doctor, because even one attack is one too many. Brought to you by the EPA and the Ad Council.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. The American Dental Association is asking Governor Cox to veto a bill that made it to his desk and would ban fluoride in public drinking water. Max Widmeyer supports the fluoride ban and shared his experience when Sandy accidentally flooded their system with fluoride.
I had to go through detox treatments, neurological exercises, and chelation therapy, something I barely even remember because for 3 months, maybe more, I was just gone.
If the bill is signed, Utah would be the first state to ban fluoridation. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump is expected to meet with his top national security advisors to discuss the Ukraine war today.
We've heard from a lot of Republican lawmakers, and they are essentially rallying behind President Trump and the administration as it relates to, of course, the fallout in the Oval Office on Friday, which is quite surprising to a lot of people who obviously have said and alleged publicly that it seems like the U.S. is more in line with Russia and with Russian President Vladimir Putin than, frankly, Zelensky.
ABC's Catherine Falders reporting from the White House. New over the past hour, an Illinois man pleaded guilty to killing 7 people and injuring dozens more when he opened fire on a 2022 Independence Day parade near Chicago. The plea was announced just moments before the opening statements in Robert Cremo's trial were set to begin. He was charged with 117 counts of murder and attempted murder. Your money at this moment, the Dow down 49 points. That's 0.1%. Coming up, couple of storms this week. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
You've known Master Electrical Service since 1954. Can you believe they've been around that long? That's incredible. Since the 50s, Master Electrical Service has taken care of some of your electrical needs, but now they've joined forces with Mountain Home Services.
And this is great for you because it means more one-stop shopping. So you need HVAC repaired, you give them a call. You know, that heating and plumbing issue or heating and air issue you've been putting off, or you need your plumbing looked at. Maybe you need some new outlets installed. They're your one-stop shop.
I don't want to make 500 phone calls if I've got issues at the house because it never happens just onesie and twosie. It's like everything goes at once. It's why I love Mountain Home Services. With so much expertise in so many different areas, you can give them a call. You can reach out to them. They can take care of so much of what you need. And it all comes with an upfront pricing guarantee, which means when they come out and they give you a bid, they will honor that bid.
So you definitely want to give them a call today, or you can even look them up online. But let me give you the website first, and then Dave's going to give you the phone number. MountainHomeservices.com. Again, that's MountainHomeservices.com.
801-543-2222 is the number. 801-543-2222.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, the snow is starting to affect Provo Canyon. You're going to see that coming down a lot of snow right now, especially if you're trying to get over to the Sundance Ski Resort. And the roads are very wet through that area, getting a bit slushy, so that could slow you down. But by the time you get into Utah County, the roads are dry out, especially once you get over to I-15. But it's probably not going to stay that way for much longer. You have a dry commute through Salt Lake, Weber, and Davis counties. No accidents reported, and good speeds pretty much anywhere you want to go. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, we have a few different storms moving in this week besides the one right now. More wet weather comes tonight with a rain-snow mix into the morning hours. Then a second storm moves in overnight Wednesday into Thursday. Right now, it's 42 degrees and mostly cloudy in Provo and 45 degrees in Salt Lake City and Ogden. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Okay, we're in a no-shame zone right now. There's no shame if you've fallen for a scam because some new data out this morning says that a lot of people are falling for scams. I think it's because scammers are getting so good at catching us at a low point or when we're in a hurry that we click the link and then before we know it, we're giving away the keys to the kingdom in the form of our credit card number, maybe even our bank account information. So we're going to walk through some of the big scams that are circulating right now and talk about how you're in good company.
So if this is a no-shame zone, Debbie, why is it that every time I fall for a scam, you make fun of me like nobody's business? It's a no-shame for everybody else.
Okay, it's everybody but Dave. We're gonna. I want you to talk about the lobster scam or the crab leg scam or whatever it was, and I want you to talk about it right out of the gates because it's so funny. We need to set the tone. I need a good laugh right now. Also, after the break, we are going to take live calls. Like, what's the Dave Noriega scam you fell for? 801-575-TALK. Do not call just yet, but tee up those phones because we're just all going to describe the scams we've fallen for or almost fallen for. Go for it.
Okay, so after every fantasy football season, my brother and I, we have what we call John and Dave's Day of Fun, where we go out and we spend all of our fantasy football winnings and we just party it up. And oftentimes we'll just blow a whole bunch of money on just fun stuff.
Well, how much is this you win? I'm sorry, just real quickly. Pause. How much do you win? Hundreds?
The exact amount that falls below the threshold for the IRS to care. So
okay. All righty.
It's more than $20.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, we'll go out, we'll go golfing, then we'll maybe play some we'll just do all sorts of stuff. But we usually end up with a nice meal. Well, this year we thought, you know what? Let's have a huge crab leg meal. So we've talked about this. This is what the plan is. And then my brother hits me up and he said, hey, I found a great deal online for some crab legs. I'm like, okay, please tell me more. He's like, oh, yeah. Day of, flown in, fresh from Alaska, unbelievable, 10 pounds for $150.
So $15 a pound?
Okay, so in retrospect, like fresh day
flown in
from Alaska is probably like $85 a pound. So yeah, the $15 a pound, that was a great deal. We were very excited. Did we put it on a credit card? Yes, we did. My brother's credit card, just to be clear, it was his credit card. And then after a week of it not showing up, I'm like, hey, buddy, whatever happened to those crab legs? Are we supposed to have our...
You'd already bought all the butter.
We had gallons of clarified butter, and we're just waiting for the crab legs to show up. He's like, yeah, I think that might have been too good to be true. I'm like, you think? 10 pounds of king crab legs for $150?
So... Now, the King Crab Leg Company, air quotes, has your brother's credit card number, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he stopped the payment, reversed the charges.
Did he get a new credit card?
That's a good question. I'll have to ask him.
We'll have to clarify that because he should. I think once your credit card is on the suckers list, so to speak. That's actually what they call it. They call it that.
I thought this was a no-shame zone,
no,
Deb.
It's called that.
Call it the suckers list.
Look, I've been doing consumer reporting for a long time, and that's what it's called. Once you're on that list, it's hard to shake it. It'd be like gum with toilet paper stuck to the bottom of your shoe, right? So, okay. So Dave has explained how he fell victim as his brother to the crab leg scam. He never got the crab legs, huh?
They look delicious, though.
Did they reverse the charges once you?
Yeah.
And it's good that you used a credit
The
card.
credit
I know
card,
you
yeah.
would anyway. You don't want to use a debit card ever for that kind of stuff. In fact, I always use my credit card for now because it's so much easier to dispute the charge. Can they kind of put it, the payment on freeze? So you're not going to, the payment's on hold. They freeze it. They're going to investigate it. They're going to take one look at it and go like, yeah, these two brothers.
I don't even need to investigate this. I know.
Had.
Yeah.
Whereas if it comes out of your checking account, the money's gone and you're trying to get the money back. So I'm glad you guys used a credit card. That's the one thing you did right in all of that. I'll tell you about some of the ones that I've been getting lately, and one of them almost caught me. Man, it almost snagged me. But I want to let you know, Dave, you are not alone. Bankrate just dropped a new survey. It's a financial fraud survey, and it said 1 in 3 adults in the United States, so it's 34%, have experienced financial fraud or a scam in the last year. So, and here's the deal. Like you, although you probably got your money back or your brother did, 2 in 5 lost money. So it's costing us a good deal of money. When you get hooked on these scams, or you get hooked by one of these scams, sometimes you do give away the keys to the kingdom. It's more than just a credit card. Maybe you got a notification like I did one morning about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. It was really early in the morning, and this is where scammers are good. I got to give it to them. They're good. It woke me out of a cold hard sleep. I was just exhausted. It was a Saturday morning. Ding, 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 ding. My text messages are going off. It was my bank allegedly saying that there was a problem with my account, that my account was being hacked. And if I just click this link, everything would clear it up. But I know my bank has sent me plenty of notifications reminding me that they would never ask me to click a link, right? They're not going to do. So I thought after I kind of came to and looked at that, that maybe there was a problem. So instead of clicking the link, what I did is I went to my banking app and opened up my banking app separately of any link the scammer had sent me. And as you look close at these links, and sometimes they're like one letter off from the actual name, or it's not quite your bank's name. It
smells Fargo.
Yeah. Exactly. So I figured out that there wasn't a problem with by going to the banking app that I had on my phone. But here's the one I almost fell a victim to. We were on the show together a couple of weeks ago, and I got a notification from what I thought was the Salt Lake City, parking folks, that I had some sort of an outstanding parking warrant or whatever. And here's the thing. When you and I go out to do our shows live, I'm usually the one who drives, and that's fine. I don't mind it. But I have to pay for parking. So it could be legit, right? I mean, I could see that I forgot to pay some sort of a parking fine because I was in a spot for 30 minutes too long or whatever. And they sent the link and everything. But as I look closely at the link, I think I showed it to you, and you Googled it. Like, we were in the break, and you're Googling it over there. And you're like, it's a scam. It's a scam, Deb. Don't click the link. And sure enough, a whole bunch of people, after I posted my experience to social media, weighed in and said, yeah, they got that same link sent to their phone. All these scammers are doing is just collating a whole bunch of phone numbers, and they're spamming all of us all at once. And you better bet your bottom line that they're going to get somebody on the hook, right? They're just playing the odds. Out of 50,000 text messages that they sent out along the Wasatch Front, I'm just making this up. This is just how I think they think. They're going to get 5% of the people to click that link. A lot of people are going to stop themselves as they're clicking the link, thinking, "Wait, I better investigate this a little bit more deeply before I start clicking the link." But there are people that I have seen who have turned over their credit card number because they want to clear up a parking fine before it turns into a warrant for their arrest or whatever the ruse is. So it's super common. It is very efficient nowadays for scammers to be able to do this because they can just blanket a whole bunch of us all at once. And again, they're just playing the odds. There's going to be somebody out there who takes the bait, and before they know it, they're knee-deep in a big financial mess. So what's your scam you fell for or almost fell for? Is it the crab leg scam? Is it the parking ticket scam? Or is it another scam? 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. Want to hear how you've been scammed next.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Bombas makes the most comfortable socks, underwear, and T-shirts.
Warning, Bombas are so absurdly comfortable you may throw out all your other clothes.
Sorry, do we legally have to say that?
No, this is just how I talk, and I really love my Bombas.
They do feel that good. And they do good, too. One item purchased equals one item donated.
To feel good and do good, go to bombas.com/radio and use code radio for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/radio and use code radio at checkout.
You're buying a home. Who do you choose to do the mortgage? Call Rick Kirschenbaum at Loans by Rick and let Rick show you how to get an interest rate that's 1 to 2 points lower than the current rate. Call 801-809-SAVE. Rick has 23 years of experience, and he's done thousands of mortgage loans. Call Loans by Rick, 801-809-SAVE, or click loansbyrick.com. Rick Kirschenbaum, NMLS 241179, and Vintage Lending, NMLS 287106, are equal housing lenders. Some restrictions apply. Rate discounts are temporary buy-downs. House hunting? Refinancing? Tired of confusing rates and endless paperwork? Loans by Rick makes mortgages easy. Rick will compare hundreds of lenders to find you your best rate so you save time and money. Low rates? Check. Fast approvals? Check. No hidden fees? Check. You got it. Click loansbyrick.com or call Loans by Rick today at 801-809-SAVE. That's 801-809-SAVE. Rick Kirschenbaum, NMLS 241179, and Vintage Lending, NMLS 287-106, are equal housing lenders. Some restrictions apply.
Dave and Dujanovic.
What scam have you fallen for or almost fallen for? 801-575-TALK. We're talking about scams after Bankrate dropped this new financial fraud survey. It says 1 in 3 adults in the United States, 34% of us, have experienced financial fraud or a scam in the past year. And Dave and I each have yet another one. Dave was talking about the king crab leg scam that he fell victim to in the last discussion, the last segment. And I was talking about the parking ticket scam. I almost clicked the link, but actually, ironically, Dave's the one who saved me. He Googled it, and he's like, don't click the link. It's a scam. It says it on the Salt Lake City website. They're warning everybody it's a scam. What was your other scam you almost fell victim to? Or maybe not almost fell victim to, but you guys got alerted to?
Well, this was interesting. I don't typically answer numbers that I don't see or I don't recognize. But the number pops up, and then I don't answer it. Then immediately my wife gets the phone call from the same number. And I thought, what are the chances that the scammer has both my number and my wife's number? So I'm thinking, okay, well, this is obviously somebody. So I call it back, and it's, hey, this is the Davis County Sheriff's Department. You missed out on jury duty and yada, yada, yada. And as soon as I said, yeah, this definitely sounds like a scam, they hang up immediately. Like this, I'm going to be honest, this sounds just like a scam. Can I call you guys back? And, they hang up. But I thought it was very interesting that they had both my number and my wife's number, and they called back to back. So it kind of led me down that road. Like, oh, maybe this is legitimate.
Are they almost close? Like, is there one number off? Because I know.
No, it was identical. It was the exact same number.
No, your wife's phone number and your phone number totally
not in the
different.
ballpark.
I was going to say, because some people, you go get your phones together. It's like
419 versus 808. No, nothing.
Okay, so mine is the last couple of weeks, I have been notified that somebody's canceling my health insurance. Click here, your health insurance is being canceled. I'm like, I think my employer would have let me know if that was a thing. Right. So if you think about things when you get these notifications, logical, like Dave has no interaction that we're aware of with this, with law enforcement. Right. I mean, there's no reason for law enforcement to be, nor would they reach out to you. that way. They're not going to call you. I mean, they're going to file a summons in court, and there's going to be that. It's going to go through the legal process. They're not holding kangaroo court on your phone, where they're going to call you. And same with health insurance, right? I mean, your health insurance company is going to reach out to you with a letter letting you know in 30 days we're going to cancel your health insurance. So I knew not to click the link because I knew that was a scam. Hi, Janet. You feel like you fell victim to something?
Yeah, a couple of different times, so I won't go into them all, but the last one, this just happened recently. I bought some carpet at Costco, and they sent me a gift card for $1,500 as part of the rebate program. And it came, through an email, so I took a picture of it, and I printed it, and I just put it in my drawer because I was going to use it for something later on down the road. Excuse me. And then I took a picture of it and put it in my phone just to send it to myself, so if I was at Costco, I could pull it up very easily. And I got an email saying, thank you for your order at Costco for 2 iWatches being sent to Oklahoma. And I'm like, okay, how did they even get this? So I called Costco, and I got to tell you, I'm very disappointed with them. I called Costco, and I said, listen, I got this. I checked my 2 visas, nothing there, but I saw that they used my gift card. How did they get my gift card, and how did they get my membership number? So then they said, oh, you know what, we'll take care of it. Don't worry. I go, now listen, there's an option. It's being delivered tomorrow. I can have it rerouted. And they're like, no, we're fine. Don't worry about it. The next day from Costco, I get an email saying, we closed your case and sent it on to another division. And I'm like, wait a minute. You missed the opportunity to stop it. I could have stopped it. It sounds like you were going to stop it. Wow. And then every time I called Costco, they said, too bad, you're out of luck. It's like cash.
Well, I would go there. I would go there in person and see if they can't work it out. I mean, they're a good company, and they want to, they prioritize customer service. So I would certainly go over there and figure out if you can't get a hold of somebody there that could help you. Let's move to Diane in Springville. You fell victim to an internet sales scam,
Hi there.
You fell victim to a scam?
Yes, I had this problem scrolling. Yes. Scrolling the internet, late at night. I was looking for those wonderful cheese graters that everybody was so excited about. Normal, they're priced $50-$60. Well, this was only $19.99. Reminded me of Dave and his crab legs. So I thought, golly, $19.99. So I clicked yes, I want it. Well, there's a buy one get one for only $15 more. So I thought, why not? 2 for a gift. That's wonderful. Number one, it took probably 8 weeks after numerous emails and texts trying to get some response.
Yeah.
Finally showed up. They were 2 boxes of Taiwan crap. They obviously stole the pictures from another site. What they sent didn't even match, but I bought 2 of them. The problem was when I clicked that I wanted the second one, the fine print said that I was also clicking to sign up for their monthly service fee.
Ooh.
So I was getting a $19 service fee on top of everything else.
Diane, thank you for sharing that. That's great information for our listeners. Read the fine print. First of all, let's go back to, deal making 101. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. Like if everybody else on the internet is charging $50 for a cheese grater, I don't know. I'm going to have to go look up this cheese grater. It sounds remarkable. It better grate the cheese for me. But you're finding it for half price or even less than half price, 70% off. That's a flag, right? It might be a pink flag. It's probably a red flag. But read the fine print because Diane found herself in a service fee mess after that. Hi, Andre.
Hello.
You fell victim to something that took your money?
Yes. I was trying to make a reservation for my son over the 24th of July holiday, and I know this hotel in the small town of Scipio gets booked very quickly, and so I Googled Scipio Hotel, and a different company came up. I don't remember the name of it, and so I called the number, and I said, when I clicked on the button for it, they had all kinds of pictures of the Scipio Hotel and the land about it and whatever.
It wasn't the hotel, was it?
It wasn't. And so I asked them when I've dealt with the hotel in the past, and it's been people that are hard to understand, I'm going to say, for me. And this one was very easy to understand. And I said, is this the Scipio Hotel? Oh, yes. What would you like? And I said, well, I'm trying to make reservations for my son. This was back in beginning part of December, 6 months ahead. And so I went ahead and made the reservations. Then they immediately charged my credit card. Then my son decided to cancel, and it's just been a nightmare canceling with this.
Okay. Well, I think the lesson here is you got to. I'm dealing with this right now. I'm trying to book some hotels for the month of end of March, April, and I'm going directly to the hotel's website. You know, there are some third-party booking websites that are legit, no doubt, but I prefer to go directly to the hotel's website to book. And if I still have doubts, I'm going to call the hotel, especially in a smaller community, to double check and verify that I'm actually calling the hotel. You got to look it up independently, and you got to do all of your homework that way, because you can end up down some rabbit hole in some website that you might have a hard time getting a refund or canceling. So great tips. Milo, sorry I couldn't get to your call. He says he got a call from New York. And, he's from New York, and said there was a family member. Milo, let's do this segment again next week, and we're going to get your call on. So stay tuned. I've got lots of people wanting to share how they have been taken for a ride different ways on different websites. And Milo's story is great. We just didn't have time to get to it.
Progressive knows when you own a boat or RV, it's like you're automatically on vacation, even if you're actually a marriage counselor in the middle of couples therapy. But in your mind, you're camping in Acadia, puttering around Frenchman Bay. Your boat and RV are both protected. You're lobster drenched in butter and... Uh-oh, did your clients just notice you weren't listening? Quick, do the thing where you just repeat back exactly what they said, but as a question. They bought it. Now back to Maine, earning an automatic discount bundling your boat or RV with your home or auto. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our U.S.-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
At JCW's, we think tipping might be getting a little out of hand. Like when you're asked to tip at the register before you've even been served, or when you're at the yogurt shop and find yourself serving yourself. And don't even get us started on frosted tips making a comeback. That's why at JCW's, when you pay for a 3rd-pound ranch bacon cheeseburger, that's what you pay. And no one at the register is going to stare longingly at you while you awkwardly maneuver through the tip screen for food you don't even have yet. Honestly, we're just happy to see you at any of our 5 locations in Provo, South Jordan, Lehigh, Harriman, and American Fork. So come on in and enjoy some quality time and great food with family and friends. And we promise, we won't be pushing you for a tip.
Hey, this is Chris with JCW's, and we just want to say thank you, and especially to our loyal customers. We want you to know that at JCW's, your business is all the tip we need. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Take advantage of Yes Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric's $99 or it's free mainline drain clearing special. That's right, $99 or it's free. Feel secure knowing the trusted professionals at Yes guarantee that if we can't clear it, you don't pay for it. Whether it's a small clog or a larger mainline sewer drain issue, the experienced technicians at Yes are ready to solve all of your drain problems. Call now or visit theyesmancan.com for details, terms, and conditions.
911, what's your emergency? Someone on the other line said they kidnapped my son.
On September 12, 1995, McKay Everett disappeared from his home in Conroe, Texas.
There was no sign of forced entry. It was just as if McKay had walked out of his own free will.
And to this day, McKay's mother, Paulette, feels that justice was never truly served. Ransom is available now. Listen at ransompodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jessica Lowell. KSL's top story this hour: tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China are set to take effect tomorrow.
President Trump is speaking with the president of Mexico today, with tariffs set to take effect at midnight. The president in early February put on pause for a month a 25% tariff on all products coming into the U.S. from Canada and Mexico, after Mexico said it would send National Guard troops to its northern border and Canada appointed a fentanyl czar. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick indicated Monday that while there will be tariffs on Canada and Mexico, the president is still deciding the details. Lutnick said both countries have done a good job on the border, but not enough on fentanyl. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Support is pouring in for former Utah Congresswoman Mia Love after her family announced her brain cancer is no longer responding to treatment. ABC News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
Love's daughter Abigail says they are shifting their focus from treatment to enjoying the time they have left with her. Love was the first Republican black woman to serve in Congress after winning the seat back in 2014. Her former co-workers and Utah leaders are expressing their support. Governor Spencer Cox said, "Our hearts are with Mia and her family during this difficult time, and Utah stands with them." Representatives Mike Kennedy and Burgess Owens said their prayers are with Mia and her family. Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson, who says the pair have been friends for 16 years, says her courage and faith are so inspiring, and she wishes this disease was one that could be beaten. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
Your money at this moment: the Dow down 172 points, S&P down 26, NASDAQ has lost 154. Coming up, storms in the forecast. KSL weather is next. KSL News time 11:02.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
If there's a problem during your siding, gutter, or window installation project, most contractors will try to hide it, ignore it, or blame someone else. It's called passing the buck or turning a blind eye, or my favorite, finger pointing. My question is, where is the accountability? Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. And look, sometimes problems just happen, no matter who you hire. Maybe the wrong color siding gets delivered, despite the order being placed perfectly. Or maybe a downspout gets cut short. Honestly, it could be anything. At RGS Exteriors, mistakes are rare. But if something goes wrong, I can absolutely, positively, 100% guarantee you we'll never hide it, and we'll never pass the buck. We'll make certain everything turns out right for you. That's people over profits. That's the RGS Exteriors way. For a free estimate on siding, gutters, or windows, call 801-280-3110, rgsexteriors.com, rgsexteriors.com.
Febreze. It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
This is the story of the one. He's responsible for keeping a leading healthcare facility clean and safe. And he trusts Grainger's high-quality HVAC cleaning and safety products, combined with their world-class supply chain, to consistently deliver, ensuring he's covered inside and out. so he can focus on keeping his facility clean to help protect the health of everyone inside. Call 1-800-GRANGER, click Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Are you in search of a fulfilling career where you can work on a team that provides you room to grow, learn, and thrive every day? Focus Engineering and Surveying is looking for individuals to join their team who take pride in the customer service they provide and have a passion for their clients to be successful. No experience in engineering, CAD design, or surveying? No problem. Focus will train those who fit their team culture for rewarding careers in surveying and CAD design. If you can align with the core ideology and the Focus team culture, if you're internally driven, team-oriented, client-focused, and love personal development and growth, Focus Engineering and Surveying is the place for you. Enjoy a positive work environment and paid internship opportunities, plus fantastic benefits like great health care with 80% employer-paid premium and HSA matched up to $200 per month, 401k, vacation, even annual performance bonuses. Start your journey towards your new and fulfilling career. Apply now at FocusUtah.com. That's FocusUtah.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, the snow is coming down pretty fast and furious in Big and Little Cottonwood Canyon. So far, we don't have any restrictions getting into those canyons, but that's probably going to change sooner rather than later. And the snow is now affecting portions of Utah County, especially on I-15 south of Pleasant Grove. Roads are starting to get a bit damp there, and Provo Canyon's been pretty wet for the last hour or so. Things are still dry and a little bit of sun throughout Weber, Davis, and Salt Lake counties, but that is going to change as the snow continues to move north. Whipple Service Champions, your cooling, heating, plumbing, drains, and electrical specialists. Whipple that away. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
The storm is moving in. Cloudy skies today. There's some stray storms already starting. The storm will really move in by tonight and could linger around through tomorrow morning. An even stronger storm is on the way on Wednesday. Right now, it's cloudy and 45 degrees. I'm Jessica Lowe from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Eye on the Hill 2025. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
And just like that, things change. And that'll happen a lot this week, the last week of the legislative session. But Dave and I talking earlier with Holly Richardson, the editor of Utah Policy, about a new proposal that was unveiled on Friday night that would have required each school to have a half-day kindergarten class. And in addition to the full-day kindergarten, that's classes that are now offered. But like I said, just like that, things changed, and Holly's going to join us in just a moment to bring us an update from the Hill.
Half-day and full-day kindergarten is interesting because we were half-day in this state for as long as I can remember. All of my kids, half-day kindergarten. But 2 years ago, we leaned in and we started funding for full-day kindergarten. Now, it was with the promise that there would still be half-day options available, but a lot of school districts have found it very hard. They just found full-day kindergarten so incredibly popular, they were having a hard time justifying for the relatively small amount of students to justify dedicating an entire classroom to half-dayers.
Yeah. Holly, let's begin, for those of us who are just joining us, where things were at 9:05 this morning when we first talked to you, and where we are now with this legislation that was just revealed on Friday, it sounds like Friday evening.
Yeah. So the bill that Representative Perucci proposes is that every school, like you said, would also require a half-day kindergarten class. And that bill was unveiled and getting ready to maybe go to committee, but we're at the very end of the legislative session. So between 9:05 and now, that bill has been, it's going to be moved to interim committee, which means they're going to look at that between the two legislative sessions, 2025 and 2026. So the legislature will meet about 6 times, once a month for 6 months in the in-between time. And one of those times, the Education Committee will discuss this bill, and they'll have all kinds of people come in and talk about why this would be a good thing or not be a good thing.
So it sounds like they're not going to try to ram it through this legislative session. This is at best going to be addressed next year.
Yeah, that's right. So the way that works is you can get it through the interim, and if everybody on the committee agrees, then it can become a committee bill, and then it would be heard at the beginning of next legislative session. If not everybody agrees, it can still be brought forward as a bill, and they'll just talk about it in 2026.
Holly, you cover the legislature. You're also a former lawmaker yourself. Is there some sort of strategy to unveiling this, like just in the final days of the legislative session, just to kind of float it out there? Okay, talk about that.
There is. So each legislator has the opportunity to prioritize what bills they want to have discussed during the interim. And if they have an actual bill with draft language, that's going to be a lot better than just an amorphous, hey, let's talk about this. And so while I don't know for sure if this is Representative Perucci's goal, it could be that she's saying this is one of the things I for sure want to talk about during the interim.
Holly, help walk me through this if I'm remembering it correctly. But when we first introduced full-day kindergarten a couple of years ago, I think it was it 2022, there was this promise that, hey, this is just going to be an option. There's still going to be half-day kindergarten for families and kids that don't want to send their kids full-time, 7 hours a day to full-day kindergarten. But we have seen an enormous amount of support or desire for parents to go full-day kindergarten. And as far as the school districts, I know there's a little bit of an incentive when you have more full-day kindergartners enrolled. You get more funding as well. So there's a financial incentive as well.
Right. The original bill from a couple of years ago said if parents wanted to have half-day kindergarten, they just needed to request it from the school. And what this current bill would do, if it passes next year, would, in the same format, right, and it changes a lot, but if it were to pass as it's written right now, it would say the bottom line is we're going to make sure we offer full-time and half-time, but if there are fewer than 18 students who sign up for half-day kindergarten, all those students will be put into a full-day kindergarten class.
I do wonder if parents knew that was an option, that the school would provide a specific half-day kindergarten class, if more of them would sign up. Who knows how that would shake out. One of the things that I noticed on the bill, and you noted this earlier too when we first saw the copy of it this morning, was it didn't have a fiscal note attached to it. And it's got to cost some money, I would imagine. And that's something they'll work on in the interim as well, is attaching a fiscal note so taxpayers know how much adding to the class, the schools that need a half-day class added, how much it would cost us.
Yeah, that's right. And I think when the original bill passed, it took us from half day to full day. I think the fiscal note was $60 million. And I'm not sure what that number is today. I don't know if it's gone up or not, but I do know, as you mentioned, Dave, the response has been really tremendous. In some school districts, it's 90% of families are choosing full day kindergarten.
I know one clumsy part of this, when you're trying to have both the half day and the full day kindergarten, is bus transportation. So some schools, like in my wife's elementary school, you have one class that is a half-day kindergarten. Then you have two classes that are full day, but they still provide bus services for the half-day kids because it's just one class. Now, it's a small class, but when you have some of the full-day kindergarten and you have maybe a handful of students that get essentially checked out because parents only want them to be going half-day, then the parents have to pick them up, and there are no transportation or bus services.
Yeah, and that, that's part of the equation that becomes problematic, right? Are you going to do it for a class of, say you're just barely on the edge and you have 18 kids who choose half day? Are you going to run a full-size bus halfway through the day? How are you going to do that transportation-wise? And one of the other questions, too, and we see this down here in Utah County, is our schools are full, and there aren't extra classrooms to say, okay, this one's going to be half-day, but this one's going to be full-day. And so we see down here that's a problem, too, right? We're constrained by the actual physical size of the school.
Yeah. Holly Richardson, thank you so much for keeping us updated. Things changed so quickly on Capitol Hill this last week. I know there's probably going to be a lot of other pieces of legislation. The same thing will happen to them. They'll just go ahead and essentially table it, put it in the interim committee meetings, and be discussed throughout the summer and the fall leading up to the 2026 legislative session. I cannot believe I just said that. Time's gone so fast. Holly, great job. Holly Richardson of Utah Policy. She's the editor of Utah Policy. They put out a newsletter every single day. You can sign up for it at utahpolicy.com. We get it to our email, and that's how she helps us track these stories as well as they develop. By the way, if you want to look this up on your own, you can look up any piece of legislation you want to. You don't only have to, you can do more than just take our word for it. You can look it up online at the Utah Legislative website, le.utah.gov, and this one is House Bill 568. 568, Dave.
As I was reading this bill this morning, one thing that stood out to me, if you go to the very bottom of the bill, one thing that they addressed was each child to be enrolled in kindergarten needs to be toilet trained. They need to be potty trained. And I think that the thing that stood out to me with that, and there were several lines in the bill regarding that, and I think sometimes we forget this, is how little these kids are. And when we're talking about kindergarten, 5 years old, there are still kids that are learning some of these fundamentals, whether it's potty training, being able to speak. My wife works with a lot of kindergartners, and she is constantly amazed at just the variability in communication skills. She has one kid, one of her favorites. He has such a speech impediment, he can't say "I don't know." It comes out "no." And it's adorable, right? But again, this is a speech impediment of basic communication skills. These kids are very little, and then there are some kids that are, rocket scientists. It seems like it at that age. It's such a wide variability at this age. It is very difficult to balance this in kindergarten when you have some kids that are absolutely capable of going to school full time as kindergartners and at 5 and 6 years old. There's others that are still really early in their development.
Rebecca, thank you so much. I guess you saw my text message back to you. Thanks for texting and then calling in. I appreciate it. You feel like half day isn't necessary for all kids, it sounds like.
I feel like it is necessary for
it
some
is.
kids.
Okay. Go ahead. Walk me through that.
Yeah, I have a kindergartner this year, and I went all over Davis County before we moved, trying to find a half-day class for him.
Oh, okay.
And find any classes or any schools that had the 18 students, so we had to settle for a full day. And we moved down to Saratoga, and it was the same thing. I couldn't find a half-day class for him. Check him out halfway through the school day. The hard part is then I have to choose what subjects he learns. So instead of getting the full math and the literacy and the art and everything, now I have to choose what he learns and what he doesn't. So currently he misses all the math and he misses all the art, which is a bummer because, that's necessary for I have to take him home and teach him because he just is not ready mentally to be there for that long. He just kind of shuts down. And when school started, he was just absolutely terrified. He would just kick and scream trying to get into school. And so then he hated school. If you hate school in kindergarten, then you're doomed,
So, Rebecca, walk us through this for just a moment, just because it sounds like different schools, districts kind of do it differently. In the area you're in, is there a full day kindergarten that's offered and then your son just goes for half of that? Is that how that works?
Correct. So down here in Saratoga Springs, they have the option half day. There's no individual half day class. They only have full day, but then the school will work with you so you can check your kid out halfway through, but you have to go into the school every day and then check him out and wait for him to come out, and it's kind of a hassle. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's I love that you're sharing that because just my kids are long since graduated from even high school, so I'm not familiar with how it would work in the daily routine. And so what you're saying then is he is not getting all of the instruction, obviously, that the other kids are getting who are there for the full day, and you have to pick and choose what different subjects he learns.
Correct, yes. And then I have to try to teach him at home, but I am not a teacher.
Oh, I felt the same way.
We do the best we can.
I felt the same way. I remember when my oldest daughter needed help with math, and I got scared. I got scared. I mean, and she was only in third grade at the time. It's like I cut myself off after third grade or second grade math. I just thanks for sharing that with us, Rebecca, and thanks for responding to my text message. I appreciate it.
Well, and they teach math differently. There literally is a new math, a new way to teach. So the way that you and I learned is not the way the kids are learning or being instructed. So there is difficulty there. Now, this is the very problem with trying to balance either half days and full days or some sort of a hybrid, exactly what Rebecca was talking about. Teachers have to figure out their game plan, and they either can teach every subject in half a day so that all the kids receive that. And then the second half of the day is the PE, the music classes, all the fun stuff. Well, then the kids are missing out on all the fun. So the half-dayers don't get to have any of the interaction and the fun and the team building of some of these activities because they're just grinding it out in a seat, doing all the tough work, so to speak. So this is the frustration I have when you're trying to have both half day and full day, and you're trying to have the best of both worlds. I think you have to commit. You have to commit. Everyone's doing half day or everybody's doing full day because of this very problem that Rebecca was talking about, is kids are missing out. I have no doubt that full day is better for parents. It's easier for them when kids are all on the exact same schedule. I'm not convinced that it's the best thing for the kids.
Dave and I are talking about a piece of legislation that was unveiled last week, like Friday. So a little late in the session. Nonetheless, it was unveiled. A sponsor in the House is Representative Candace Perucci. Holly Richardson of Utah Policy has been tracking this for us this morning, joined us earlier in the show when we started talking about the possibility that if this legislation did get any legs under it in the last few days of the legislative session, it would essentially mean that every school would be required to offer a half-day kindergarten class as long as enrollment numbers made sense. Like 18 kids would have to be enrolled. It sounds like anything below that, the school would not have to offer the class. But it opened up the door to have a specific class for half-day kindergarten. So like what will happen a lot this week, things changed in the last 2 hours, and that's what happens in the final days of the legislative session. Things change, and this bill has, let's just say it's been tabled. It's not off of the table altogether. It is going to be discussed in the interim session of the legislature. So after the legislative session's over and they meet throughout the summer and fall, the Education Committee will get together and discuss whether they want to move forward with this in the next session.
Again, when you're only a couple years into this, so they're still trying to figure out their way, my heart does go out to the teachers that are trying to manage a classroom. If you've got 5, 6, 7, 8 kids that are leaving in the middle of the day or at lunchtime, so to speak, then how do you schedule and stagger your curriculum? And how do you play catch up with those kids that are falling behind? Because I have no doubt if you're sending a kid to full day school, kindergarten versus half day, that the full day kids are going to get a leg up. They're going to learn more, and that's obvious. But then, are you asking the kindergarten teacher to catch the half dayers up? Or are you going to wait until the first grade teacher, and the first grade teacher is going to have to catch the half-day kids up to the full-time kids? That is a struggle because as a first grade teacher, you can't teach 2 classes. You can't be teaching the catch-up class to half the class and then hey, everybody move forward. So what happens is they all end up kind of evening out as you're bringing the half-day kids up to speed and you're slowing the progress of the first grade kids behind.
So in the 9 o'clock hour, I brought this up. The University of Utah Education Policy Center looked at this when you talk about catching kids up and, kids falling behind. And they look at a number of different studies, and they found by the end of the year, the full-day kindergarten students did outperform half-day kindergarten students by 12 percentage points. But within the first grade year and throughout the second grade year, they were both scoring similarly. So this idea that kids can't catch up, kids are sponges at this age, and this idea that they can't catch up or they're super behind or something like that, they work it out. I remember I was top of my class in third grade math. Speaking of not knowing how to do math, Rebecca, thanks for bringing this up. It's true. My kids were like, Mom, can you help us? I don't know. But I was top of my class in third grade math. And by fourth grade, everybody was passing me up. And I've never been able to do math since. I went into journalism. So I had to do very little adding and subtracting and multiplication and division. It's just like I've since fallen behind every single year in math. And now I'm 58 years old. I'm way behind even probably sixth graders in math.
Yeah, it's tricky, right? Trying to find this, and especially when you're dealing with a class of 25, 30, 33 kids or so, to get everybody moving in the same direction and at the same grade level. My heart goes out to teachers. It's an incredibly difficult thing to do, and I think having a half day, having a full day kindergartner just makes that job all the more difficult for the kindergarten teachers and the first grade teachers.
If you are a regular listener of our Cold podcast, and so many of you are, you're probably familiar with the Joyce Yost case from the 1980s. Well, the United States Supreme Court has made a ruling that involves this case, and our very own Dave Cawley is joining the show straight ahead to tell us what today's ruling means.
Jackson Hewitt wants you to save money on tax prep. We're saving money by having our intern rap in this commercial.
Don't stress, Jackson Hewitt's got expert tax prep, $149 or less. Yo, some tax guys lie about price. What? They got hidden fees, that ain't nice. Ain't nice. Don't ignore MC Kevin's rhyme, cause this deal's for a limited time. $149.
For tax prep that's $149 or less, hurry into Jackson Hewitt today.
No cap.
Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149. Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800-838-6161.
Do you need new windows? Look, all glass pretty much looks the same to the naked eye, but if your windows aren't triple-coated, argon-filled and sealed double-pane glass, the cold is seeping in. You need to call Advanced Window Products. They use the highest quality glass and premium vinyl to create state-of-the-art windows and frames, and for 38 years, they build those frames right here in Utah. Custom crafted for Utah's climate. The best windows you can buy at prices 30 and 40% less than what the big companies charge because they cut out the middleman. They're the factory. They even give you a lifetime warranty, and right now as we head into spring, save an extra $2,500 off 10 windows or more. Custom windows that'll give your house a fresh new look and save you money on your heating and air conditioning. Advanced Windows offers 60-month 0% financing, even buy now, pay later, and an extra $2,500 off. Call for a quote, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Let's face it, nothing makes you look older than you really are than thinning hair. But what if you could not only increase your hair count, but promote new hair growth without surgery, without drugs with potential side effects, and without a prescription from your doctor? Well, now you can, thanks to a breakthrough new supplement called Hair Grow, provided by New Nordic, the #1 supplier of dietary supplements in Europe. Hair Grow is now available in the U.S. Only Hair Grow contains Tocogaya, a powerful antioxidant that has received a U.S. patent. Multiple clinical studies show Hair Grow is safe and effective in promoting new hair growth. In one study, 95% of the patients using Hair Grow saw increased hair count. Don't lose more time and more hair. Try Hair Grow today to feel and look your best. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS. Look younger and feel more confident with Hair Grow by New Nordic at NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS.
My name is Tom.
My name is Cindy.
We give to and volunteer with United Way at our community free health clinic.
We know our time and money are going to the right places.
We don't just wear the shirt.
We live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Dave and Debbie.
It's impossible to digest and consume all of the news that's now coming at us through either social media or through web pages or through the radio. Pick what is most impactful in your life and focus on that. And that's what Dave and I do every single morning. We pick those issues that are most important to our listeners and we boil it down so it's digestible. It's simple to understand.
I think we're trying to find the essence of the story. You know, you can't be an expert on all things, but that doesn't mean you can't be curious and really find out more and educate yourself and learn the complexities of an issue. But I think all of us start at ground zero on everything. Ask questions, show that curiosity.
And then if you need more research, you can always go to KSLNewsRadio.com and learn more.
Listen for Dave and Dujanovic 9 to noon on KSL News Radio.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. One lawmaker wants to make sure half-day kindergarten is still an option in Utah. Representative Candace Perucci's bill proposal on Friday requires half classes to be offered if there's a demand from parents. Utah policy editor Holly Richardson tells Dave and Dujanovic that could raise some other concerns.
I think it makes it problematic if you start to pull kids out at the halfway point, because they're going to be behind their peers because they're only going to be getting half the amount of education that the rest of the kids in the classroom are getting.
Richardson says she doesn't think the bill will have enough time to get through the process and be passed this session, but it could be a conversation starter for upcoming interim meetings. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. At least 2 people are dead and several others injured after a car drove into a crowd in Germany. Police in Germany say 1 person is under arrest. Here's ABC News Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Kontursky.
We have seen this before, not only in Germany, but elsewhere in Europe and in the United States. Look no further than New Orleans for a vehicle ramming attack. But then also the increased chatter online that intelligence officials say they've picked up of late, specifically saying that Ramadan could be a time for attack. Those 2 factors together have both the Department of Homeland Security and police agencies like the NYPD warning law enforcement that this is a particularly dangerous time.
Authorities are still working to determine the motive. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 380 points, the S&P is down 58. And coming up, rain and snow showers tonight. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
One of the great things about Salt Lake City fat loss is when I decided to lose some weight, they held my hand through the entire process because I wasn't quite sure what to do. And they told me early on, they said, listen, you're going to be able to lose some weight without injections, without any insane workout routines, without surgery. But it is going to take some dedication. You're going to have to stay on the plan if you want to see big results, because you could lose up to 1 pound of fat per day on the Salt Lake City Fat Loss Program. And in fact, if you do sign up right now, I just want to tell you, you're going to get an extra $200 off the program. So there you go. If you want to wear some shorts this summer, make sure you check out Salt Lake City Fat Loss. But I lost 57 pounds in 60 days with Salt Lake City Fat Loss. And if you're interested, go ahead and reach out to them. Schedule a free consultation. Let them walk you through the process. Sign up. Again, get an extra $200 off the program for the spring deal. Go ahead. SLCfatloss.com is the website. Check them out at SLCfatloss.com.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now. Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Here's Ricky Meese.
Wet roads along I-15 and other major roadways in parts of Utah County, especially in the Orem and Provo areas. We do have a crash in Utah County. This is westbound Highway 189 Provo Canyon prior to Bridal Veil Falls, blocking a right lane, and restrictions now in place on the eastbound side of both Big and Little Cottonwood Canyons. Teens can get up to $200 with a Teen Learn and Earn account, plus continue earning rewards as they master the essentials of finance. More at cypresscu.com/teen. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll see a high of 48 today. We are starting to see the rain and snow showers that will continue overnight and into the morning. Right now it is 45 and mostly cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com or Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
If you listen to our Cold podcast here, hosted by Dave Cawley, and a lot of you do, it's an extremely popular podcast, you'll want to hear about what transpired today at the United States Supreme Court regarding the murder of Joyce Yost. She is the focus of Dave Cawley's investigative reporting, and he's here right now to update on the latest development.
Dave, this is nearly impossible to do, but for our listeners that are just joining us, can you recap quickly what happened? Joyce Yost, Doug Lovell, the man who was convicted of killing her.
Yeah, basically, I mean, the basic story is super easy to explain, right? If we go back to 1985, this woman, Joyce Yost, was followed home one night by a man she didn't know. He attacked her outside her own apartment, abducted her, ended up sexually assaulting, raping her. Joyce reported what happened and was prepared to take this man to trial. And before that happened, he came back and killed her and hid her body, and she's never been found. So that happened, as I said, April to August of 1985. A long time ago.
In Utah.
In Utah, yes, up in Davis and Weber counties. Since that time, this case has been through countless trips to the Utah Supreme Court. Doug Lovell actually, there's no factual question about his guilt. That's been well established that he was guilty of this crime. But what it comes down to is, will he receive the death penalty or life in prison? He stood trial in 2015. Again, didn't contest that he was guilty, but he was just hoping that a jury would give him a chance for life in prison rather than the death penalty. They chose death. The Utah Supreme Court overturned that decision because they said religion interfered in that decision, the jury's decision for the death penalty. The Utah Attorney General's office was hoping that the U.S. Supreme Court would step in and overturn the Utah Supreme Court. That didn't happen. SCOTUS said, nope, we're not taking it.
And that happened this morning.
That was today. Yep.
So the U.S. Supreme Court declined to reimpose the death sentence of Douglas Lovell.
That's even getting a step ahead of it. They refused to even hear the case. The U.S. Supreme Court, they get to pick and choose which cases they take. And so the Utah Attorney General's office had to file a writ where they basically formally asked the Supreme Court, will you hear this case? The justices got together over the last week. They looked at the facts and the briefings that came in, and they just decided, nope, this is not one they're going to take up.
So part of what is interesting about this is that are we calling it a retrial back in 2015? So a resentencing?
Interestingly enough, Doug Lovell never had an original trial. He pleaded guilty. And that's part of why we know that he was guilty for this crime. In 1993, 7 years after the murder, 8 years after, he admitted that he did it. He pleaded guilty because, again, he was hoping a judge would give him a chance for life with parole, and that judge gave him death. Doug Lovell spent the next 2 decades fighting to get that plea taken back so that he could get his original trial in 2015, decades after the crime had ever happened.
Then I see, and this was an interesting twist to it, where you were talking about this accusation that the church had interfered with with testimony. I think it was like character witnesses, right, if I'm remembering correctly. But then in 2021, a state judge ruled, I'm looking at this ABC News article, that the church did not interfere in Lovell's trial, but still the death sentence, overturning the death sentence remained.
We have been fighting about this in Utah's courts for 10 years. Essentially what happened was, it wasn't so much that the church itself interfered, but the prosecutors in the case were trying to introduce information about the fact that Doug Lovell was using bishops who met him at the state prison during his incarceration, who were talking about what a great guy he was, how he had remorse, how he had changed over time. And the prosecutors were trying to show that Doug Lovell had been excommunicated from the church, that he had never tried to be readmitted to the church. And Lovell's defense team didn't object to that. And so the Utah Supreme Court, when they looked at that case, they said, we can't say with certainty that a member on that jury didn't give up their responsibility and just say, well, I'm just going to sentence him to death and let the Almighty figure it out. We don't know that's what happened, but it's just the possibility in the eyes of the Utah Supreme Court that that could have happened, that they said, nope, you've got to go back and you've got to do the sentencing over again.
So where it stands right now this morning, Douglas Lovell does not face the death penalty.
That is correct, yeah.
Okay, but he's still in prison.
That is also correct.
Is he in prison for life?
He is currently in sort of this interesting limbo position. The two choices before the jury in the 2015 trial were life with the chance of parole or death. Doug Lovell, did not allow the jurors life without parole. So that was a choice that he got to make. So if this goes back for a new sentencing hearing, this will be the same question. Life with a chance for parole, which is what Lovell wants, or death. And so until the jury decides, he remains incarcerated, and we just have to see what a new jury will decide on that question.
So what does this do? Have you been in contact with the victim's family? I mean, I know this is 40 years later. Who was still involved, who's still following this from the victim's perspective? What do you know?
Yeah, Joyce had two kids, a son Greg and a daughter Kim, both of whom, they're very reticent. They don't talk to the media a lot, but they spoke to us for the Cold podcast. Kim, when I let her know that this had come down this morning, she responded with a three-letter acronym, WTF. They're very upset. Very upset. They have consistently over the last 4 decades maintained that they wanted to see Lovell executed for what he did to their mother, and that's not changed. They feel strongly that they have been dragged through this over and over and over again, and this is just another blow in that.
And remind me, was Joyce's body ever recovered?
No. To this day, it's not been recovered. Lovell claimed that he left her up near Snow Basin, but a big search back in 1993 where he said she was failed to turn up anything. And in cold over the last 3-4 years, we've actually gone out on new searches trying to identify places that maybe she could be. We're still hoping that somebody somewhere knows something that they can come forward and share with us.
And, so often, obviously given the name Cold Podcast, we may think that the case is locked away in a file cabinet somewhere at a police department. What give us the status on what law enforcement is doing and in just the minute or so we have left, Dave?
Yeah, it's tough. The South Ogden Police Department, which investigated the case originally, and the Weber County Attorney's Office, without some firm information about where to go to find Joyce's body, they're kind of at a standstill. Mm-hmm. So, we did a lot of public records work, getting information, trying to find new sources, and I'm in contact with an investigator, a cold case investigator at Weber County, and we continue to bounce ideas off each other. But really, it is going to take either Lovell or somebody close to him coming forward, or us making a big discovery, I think, to bring Joyce home.
Oh, it's heartbreaking.
Dave, thank you so much for lending us your expertise. I know you've poured in countless hours into this case and following it, so we appreciate you bringing this to our listeners. But just to reiterate again, the Supreme Court of the United States has declined to take up this petition from Utah regarding the Doug Lovell case, and we'll continue to follow it as closely as possible. So thanks, Dave.
Thank you both.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Since pioneering the employee recognition industry nearly a century ago, O.C. Tanner has become one of the state's top employers, earning a spot on Fortune's 100 Best Companies to Work For 3 times. President and CEO Scott Sperry joins us with more.
Well, we're known locally for our jewelry stores in Salt Lake City and Park City. O.C. Tanner's impact extends worldwide. We provide industry-leading software, services, and custom awards to top global brands, including Chevron, Starbucks, Delta, and Capital One. As a nearly $1 billion global leader in employee recognition and rewards, we help organizations celebrate great work, build thriving cultures, and drive meaningful business results. O.C. Tanner is a privately owned, debt-free company, and the ownership structure ensures it will not be bought or sold. This stability allows our 1,600 employees to focus on long-term success and delivering unparalleled service. As an innovative HR technology provider, we continue to grow, investing in software solutions that enhance workplace culture. We're also committed to giving back, donating 10% of profits to support the arts, education, the environment, and human needs. Learn more about enhancing your company culture at octanner.com.
Utah's tech sector is among the nation's fastest growing. This includes O.C. Tanner, once not considered a tech company, now employing hundreds of software engineers to better serve its clients. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
At Trio Senior Living, older adults aren't slowing down. They're just getting started. The Prime Fit Wellness Program expands wellness beyond the gym into every aspect of community life. Whatever your goals, the team at Trio Senior Living has got your back, so you can put your best foot forward. Call 801-475-4004 today to schedule your personal visit.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Did you watch the Oscars last night? I watched part of them. Dave watched some. We have 2 totally different takes on the Oscars last night. What's your take?
Number one, that I'm shocked that you actually watched it. I followed it a little bit online. I saw a few clips, but what is going on with the Oscars right now, Deb? I can't believe you're one of the few people I know that is actually watching the Oscars.
What was your take about the films?
Okay, number one, I am a movie goer. I mean, I'm not Andy Farnsworth, but I go to a lot of movies.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize any of these movies. There were 3 movies that I had seen that I can remember. It was Wicked. It was the robot one.
Okay. You've been to Wicked. Okay.
Yeah, Wicked. That was great. Yeah, there's another one I'm sure that I'm missing there. But, I remember, I know 3 of these movies. Of all the movies you're talking about, I've seen 3.
Did you know Honora?
If I get married to an American, I wouldn't have to go back to Russia.
You didn't?
Never heard of this movie, not once.
Well, my take was Adrian Brody, Best Actor for The Brutalist.
And I'm wrapping up. Please, I'm wrapping up. I will wrap up. Please turn the music off. I've done this before. Thank you.
Okay.
It's not my first rodeo, but I will be brief. I will not be egregious, I promise.
Andy Farnsworth, his speech went almost 5 minutes. I wasn't sure what the point of it was.
Well, he was pointing out that the movie he starred in and won Best Picture for was 3 hours and 35 minutes, and so he's like, I got to take a commensurate amount of time on this show. I'm just kidding.
He wins Best Actor for The Brutalist, but I would not give him an award for the Best Speech of the Night. I was just shocked at how long I actually went to bed in the middle of his speech. I was like, after he said this.
I'm out.
And I'm wrapping up. Please, I'm wrapping up. I will wrap up.
I'm like, yeah, you are, click.
Debbie wrapped him up for him.
I'm sure it's a great movie.
It's a well-made movie.
Okay.
It's a lot. I was actually joking this morning with Amanda on Utah's Morning News. The Oscar broadcast was the same length of time as The Brutalist. 3 hours and 40 minutes. It's a long thing.
Yeah.
Well made and certainly deserving of Best Actor. I actually had him on my list. That was who I thought would probably win, although there was a lot of good ones. Interesting thing about the Oscars, too, is the nomination process is where I think the snubs happen. Like, by the time you get to the top 5, which is all categories except Best Picture, which has 10, really the snubs come as, how is this not one of the top 5? But once you're to the top 5, then it just becomes really, they're all good. who's the best. It really just depends on the voter, and everybody has their own personal taste. So Anora wins Best Picture. I texted Steve Sales. What?
Well, to Dave's point, I think a lot of us don't recognize some of these movies, and I don't know why that is. And you're the movie show guy, so tell us, what are we missing here? Are they just shown in like one theater over a weekend, or are
that's part of it. Now, Anora was launched officially at the Cannes Film Festival in France. That's where it debuted originally. Everybody got their first look at it. They give everything 12-minute standing ovations at Cannes, so it got a little bit of momentum. Then it went to another film festival. Then it got a little bit more momentum. This is my personal thing is you should walk out of the Best Picture and feel like you had an experience. Like I know that sometimes gives advantages to studio films versus independent films. Anora's considered an independent film. They only cost them $6 million to make. But, if it's going to be a small one, then you need to be like so emotionally moved by that you're just like, that was something. And there was moments like that in The Brutalist. So that was a Best Picture. But I walked out of Anora, and it only opened here, I think, in early December. So it had already played in a bunch of places before it even got to Salt Lake. So part of the reason that maybe listeners here didn't know a lot about some of these movies is they were not wide release with a huge marketing campaign with commercials on television. This one would be a hard one to advertise on TV because of its subject matter. And for our market, only the real Oscar files were the ones who would really try to seek this one out. The Academy seems highly biased against movies that everybody loves. They had to add 5 more Best Picture so that they could get in a few that people had seen so that people would watch the telecast.
Really? Okay.
And that's why you see Wicked get nominated, which, by the way, was a great movie and well done, and it deserved the Oscars that it won. And my favorite was Dune Part 2. I walked out of that saying, like in February of last year, I walked out of that saying, this is the best movie. It's going to be hard to top this movie.
Dune?
Dune Part 2. And so I was really disappointed when the director didn't get nominated, and that's when I knew it wouldn't win Best Picture.
Didn't they win for like Best Score or something like that? Sorry,
I don't know if they won. They won for Best Set Design, and I think they won for Best Costuming.
Okay.
No, Wicked won for Best Costume.
It won
right now. 2 awards. I know that because my son was super excited. He really wanted it to win Best Picture.
Best Costume went to Wicked. Best Original Screenplay went to Anora. Best Adapted Screenplay went to Conclave. I'm looking for, I know, Best Visual Effects, Best Sound went
Visual
to Dune.
Effects and Sound. Okay.
There you go.
And
Thanks,
those were
Caitlin.
deserved as well. But that's what that kind of a movie is seen by the Academy. Oh, you're good at your little thing, but for real cinema people, no. And that bugs me.
Which is so infuriating because when I walked away from let's use Top Gun Maverick as an example.
That was the best movie of that year.
By far
Hands
the best
down.
movie of the year. And then even if you were to say, okay, maybe it's not artsy enough for you. I mean, despite the fact that it probably saved the film industry as what Steven Spielberg told Tom Cruise. He's like, you saved us. It saved the film industry. But how do you not win Best Photography? I mean, they were able to film live jet fighters, as these pilots are in the cockpit. It was unbelievable. But I think I look at it, have they made it so unreachable for the casual moviegoer? Because that's who that's who you're speaking to, right? They're not speaking to you and Steve
That's what
Sale.
the broadcast is speaking to.
Right.
Because they need for the advertisers. And so, think about back in the day, Mary Poppins won Best Picture.
I love that movie.
Right.
I love that movie.
Right. But
Rocky
there is
did.
no way that Mary Poppins could win a Best Picture today, in my opinion.
No
That was a
chance.
different time. And I wish it was still like that in certain ways. I thought if Wicked had won Best Picture, maybe it's not the best picture. But again, once you get to these top 10, it's just as much about preference. To me, Anora was a movie, in my opinion, it's an honor to be nominated. We're a $6 million picture that debuted at Cannes, got some great word of mouth, won a bunch of awards. To me, I wrote to Steve, I was like, man, it was good acting and a good script, but it is not the best picture of last year. That was my feeling.
You felt Wicked was?
No. I felt Dune Part 2
Oh,
was.
Dune.
But I would
Dune.
have put
I'm sorry,
Conclave up there.
Conclave,
I would have picked The Brutalist over Anora. And The Brutalist is kind of a tough watch. about architecture. That's what the brutalist is referring to, as the brutalist style of architecture. But, it was immersive. I walked out of that going like, I felt like I was in the 1940s and 50s.
When you watched the
when
Brutalist.
I watched the Brutalist.
Did you need an intermission or anything? Because it's
No, there
3.5
is
hours
one.
long.
There was like a
okay.
10-minute intermission built in.
I don't
In
know.
fact, that was even clever. He looks. Adrian Brody looks at a photograph, and the photograph goes and fills up the whole screen, and then it just holds on the photograph, and it says you have 10 minutes till the picture resumes. And so I was like, okay. And then the clock was running. I knew I could go out and use the restroom. And
popcorn it is.
But that's one that's not going to get a ton of people to go see it. I'm trying to think, was Titanic the last time that the movie that everybody watched and everybody loved? Maybe Return of the King.
Yeah.
But you're talking late 90s, early 2000s was the last time. And then weirdly enough, Harvey Weinstein figured out how to work the system to get the smaller pictures, because it was about campaigning to certain people, not the public. Then you get those, because that's the thing. Once you start getting Best Picture, then you start getting the actors interested. It was to build his business. He figured it out, and it worked. And now that's kind of where we are.
It feels so arrogant that despite the fact that we all love a movie, and there will be millions and millions of people that show with their pocketbook that we love this movie, we will go see it multiple times.
Yes.
That the Oscars will look at it and say, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Your opinions do not matter. We'll tell you what the really good movies are.
Oh, there's definitely that vibe. Now, I don't think they'd ever say that out loud, but it's certainly that vibe.
They say it with their voting.
Great insight, Andy.
Well, thank you.
I know your movie show every Friday, but we love having
Yeah, Steve and I are gonna react on Friday to
good.
this.
Good. But thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
giving us
I hope that's helpful insight.
Yeah, it gives us a lot of context. And that speech that Adrian Brody
Oh,
gave
by the
last
way,
night.
the girl he's talking about, Google who she is.
Okay.
It will blow you away.
I'm going to go watch the entire 5 minutes again because I did click off and I was like, I got to go to bed. I can't wait around for this. And I will look that up. Thanks, Andy, so much. Andy Farnsworth, the movie show, and also on Utah's Morning News every morning with Amanda. Straight ahead, Maria's up next. We're learning more about an Ogden Night Club security guard charged with manslaughter following a fight, police say started because a man refused to pay for tacos. Maria has more on that.
You bought a house, or maybe you're building one, but it just isn't feeling like home. Not yet. AMC Building Materials has this undeniable knack for transforming a house into a home, your home. How do they do that? They combine years of exceptional kitchen and bath creations with your ideas. In fact, customer satisfaction is their #1 priority. You know what you want. You know it's not going to be cookie cutter, and this is exactly where AMC shines. AMC delivers exceptional quality, bold-style kitchen and bath designs, along with their exceptional value and a timeline you'll love. Most projects are complete by the elite AMC professional installers in under 10 days. Immerse yourself in the beauty, function, and feel in person at the AMC Building Materials showroom in Salt Lake City. Get directions and schedule your free estimate at amckitchenslc.org. AMC Building Materials, transforming your house into a home. amckitchenslc.org.
Copiers, printers, service, and supplies are just the beginning. Les Olson IT is the premier source for your business's structured cabling, IT, software, telephones, and security systems. We partner with you to find the